My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. It is Thursday, August 21st, 2025, and it's 6:50 a.m. A sex offender that wants to be close to me while I'm sleeping, while the demons molest incessantly with impossible light. They're all stalking me. This is why the fake sun is here, because they all are together desiring to touch, just like they are as I walk outside of the OVITT Family Community Library. They're all touching with impossible light. This is exactly what they're doing under a fake sun. These are sex offenders, including 8AJG206. And this demon is parked adjacent to what is 415 North EUCLID Avenue, and is engaging what is monitoring with his communication device while demon after demon are engaging in the sex offense together. And the demons are stalking in aircraft as well, and this is a sex offender that's aiding the ongoing monitoring. A demon comes close. This is analogous to the Tracy Banks standing over me while I'm asleep, and the rest of the demons pacing all around while they are all monitoring together. This is what license 8AJG206 is doing, except that 8AJG206 is a demon-possessed male, someone that's not feigning to be of a relative that you are not automatically looking at as odd, parked outside, EMYN01, parked outside adjacent to me. All of the venues are closed right here, and the fake sun and impossible light, like I've already captured on video. This is what this demon is doing, monitoring me, monitoring my breathing, monitoring the moment that I wake up, monitoring with regard to my physical movement, and waking up and stalking with all these demons who are molesting thousands of times over while they're all pacing under the fake sun. 7TQM 468 8WNK 33 6W8, 6W87011. And it's currently, again, 6:51 a.m. This is the entity that's maintaining aerial surveillance. So I will show you the demons that are relying on the pacing minions right here under the fake sun around me, while sex offenders are encouraged to engage in ongoing demonic pacing. This is, again, the removal of demons from office, like sex offenders Alan D. Wapner, sex offenders Mike LORENZ. This is why you have demons like 8AJG206 surveying my vagina in the bathroom, because the demons that are stalking in planes and helicopters and police vehicles and fire trucks and ambulances need a sex offender close by to maintain the elements of monitoring while they're gang stalking me together. And this is what's happening at 415 North Euclid Avenue. They're all driving in impossible light activity. They are all stalking, including demons that are maintaining presence on both sides. Remember, this isn't traffic, it's surveillance. And so what I'm documenting with regard to the P.O.C, they're all doing so, 9STEB86, they're all doing so with regard to what is the intention of stalking me. And this is the reality of a bunch of demons, people who are dead, who are obsessed with one person, that they're conspiring to murder. 9MVP964, 7XGB532, and then there's the sexually perverted aspect of gang stalking one person. 6HVR397, 9FHZ409, and these are all demons that are together touching, okay? This is P.O.C. And license 8AJG206 is a sex offender monitoring my vagina. This is a sex offense committed perpetually. It's occurring including while I'm being touched without my consent and with light that is not naturally occurring, both while the fake sun is here and also while the demon possessed cross path and the shadow of their vehicles, even light that manifests in the shade, is occurring. That's another sex offense. These are all the ways in which they're necessarily touching while they're stalking. These are the mentally ill. These are the pedophiles, okay? The pattern of cognitive gang stalk is inherently sexually violent. These are pedophiles that are gang stalking. These are demons, and particularly those that are possessed with that Jezebel spirit. And this is the sexually perverted behavior. License plate, 7HBY360. 1302473, and ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue, Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California. License plate 9HLP043, BBJ 8BJ B012. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, the entity maintaining ongoing patrolling. That's exactly what this demon in this Honda Accord is engaging in, monitoring. And that is, again, the sex offender. That's exactly how the people of the state are going to be prosecuted too as well. It's some strange male stalking me, 22772F4, I believe, and doing so on behalf of a government. The entity is patrolling, and this is a demon that's maintaining close proximity to me and listening to me sleep. And this is what a population is doing. This demon is just close by doing so. License 8AJG206. I'm capturing images. You will see the entity pacing by in planes, and this is what is happening as I'm conscious at 6:44 a.m. And it's 6:55 a.m., so he has been engaged for what is at least 11 minutes, stalking in the path. Gloria's Cochinas is closed. So is the 415 North Euclid Avenue venue where I'm at. When they're open, that's only relevant for what demons like to act like they're focused on. Oh, I'm getting out my car, like the demons at 519 North Euclid Avenue. She doesn't have any customers. She doesn't have any customers also at that late night hour. But going to that venue where you are operating a business is the guise whereby demons presuppose, oh, that's the focal point. These are demons that are ignorant, though. They're sitting up under a fake sun, meaning the whole world is watching them stalk. Everybody understands the key of gang stalking. They're not doing anything, including working under the fake sun. They're stalking. 7RKX311. These are the delusional psychopaths that are engaging in gang stalking, and they're going to pay a penalty for that as well, for engaging in that level of obsessing over one person. Since you want to obsess over a woman together, you want to stalk one woman together, you want to follow one woman around together, you want to touch all over one woman together, there's some serious penalties for that, and they're not going to like it, especially how their criminal record and their future is going to be affected. 8S276633. This is demons that are gang stalking at 333 North Euclid Avenue. These are males, and if gang stalking immigrants are engaging in the P.O.C, this is exactly what you are going to deport out of the country, okay? And this is, again, at the intersection of D Street and Euclid, under the fake sun that's still here. For your knowledge, you already know that Alex Escobar
also isn't working under the fake sun, also doesn't have any legitimacy or sense of belonging under a fake sun where a government's engaging in monitoring with no warrant and probable cause, and therefore has no right to gang stalk you through the people of the state who are supposed to be the guise of belonging and having a right to be there. This illusion is exactly why people of the state are going to federal prison, all right, and going to mental asylums, and are going to be prosecuted as the co-conspirators to murder, and while they are engaging in war tactics using psychological torture. High school graduates, very unintelligent people that are also engaging in what is conduct when they don't even speak the English language, people that are entirely different cultures than mine, people that are of all ages, people that are under the age of majority. Pay attention, because engaging in psychological torture is not a matter of intelligence. The demon-possessed population show you that. License 7KSL 498. Psychological torture is relevant to the malice inherent to engaging in what is harming the mind, the emotional and psychological functioning of the mind of the person that you're targeting, and you're targeting in a manner that is malicious with regard to intentionally doing so, knowingly doing so, but also doing so in the manner that is designed to create harm to the mind of that person, causing them to question themselves, causing other people who are also a part of the pattern of conduct to question them. And that's a part of what is the inherent harm to gang stalking as a quote-unquote stranger, as a quote-unquote family member, as a quote-unquote friend, as a quote-unquote colleague, coworker. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct and those that are engaging in psychological torture are not intelligent at all. 8THE 922, some of the most ignorant gang stalkers, the most ignorant defendants. 9NVE 783 are engaging in what is, like I'm showing the Ontario police, psychological torture. Oh, this isn't the Ontario police. It is not the Ontario police directly. It's the Ontario police vicariously, stalking in the path. Oh, this is the demons of the Ontario police. Yes, it is. This is what I mean with regard to ignorance and the fake sun. Moving to be where I'm in alignment to, so I'm going to go ahead and capture this footage and show you the P.O.C. As I'm referring to the pattern of conduct, first of all, it's 6:59 a.m. And I'm showing you the fake sun where the sex offender wants to be close to me while I am in an unconscious state, and the demons are patrolling in airplanes, and the fake sun's in alignment. The fake sun's no longer at 415 North Euclid Avenue. And this is where the demons are stalking in the path. Demons that use red and blue lights to manifest demon possession. That is called stalking in the path with light. AERU 509 is a demon that's stalking with that department. And they're doing so with knowledge of who I am. That's why the fake sun travels in alignment with me, not in alignment with them. As though they are ignorant and being followed, pursued with the whole environment. They are not. They are targeting an American citizen with the gang stalkers who are the Ontario police. All right, and this is the same location at C Street and Euclid where the entity is keeping the fake sun. Pay attention, this is surveillance. They're getting out of their vehicle now. This is surveillance, black-faced demons engaging in monitoring with law enforcement, by the way, conspiring murder. Gang stalking together. This is the demon that's pacing back and forth, and that's license 9608183. 96081A3. All right, and this is light activity. This is a demon. This is why they're aiming light toward me. They already know where I'm at. This is engineer light, by the way. You could see on the curb right there. Impossible light activity. The fake sun's over there. This is all shade. That's light manifesting in the shade. That's the evidence of what is monitoring. These are demons that are stalking in the path, obsessed with me, keeping other demons around me, monitoring. Light is manifesting out of nowhere, while demons that you'll see on the news, by the way, that like to say things like Black Lives Matter. 9HDW 692, this is all surveillance, and I'm going to show you what these demons, these are the ignorant demons that engage in monitoring and stalking you in the specific environment. See this light illuminating on the shade? You see my shadow over here? This is relevant to psychological torture. Black-faced demons monitoring with corrupt law enforcement, conspiring your murder. Walking around, watch them drive through that impulsive light. That's relevant to psychological torture, 96081A3. And also this third-party business, Casa Blanc, windows and doors, monitoring impossible light manifesting out of nowhere. And the demons that are going to be disbanded are aiding them. They're driving in traffic, which is surveillance. They're stalking in the parking lot, tracking my steps, while the fake sun moves in alignment to me. First of all, that light that I show you, my shadow, is occurring. That's called light activity, while demons are indeed engaging in, with a low intelligent quotient, psychological torture. License 9RYY367. And you're going to prosecute. Impossible light moves across that house. That house is gang stalking while that coward drives off. 7ZYE925 is gang stalking. The demons, they're all gang stalking where they live, when you're hearing impossible amplification of a train. These are the low IQs of the Ontario police. They're going to federal prison. 1129, license 1706919. The emergency ends as I approach. There's the fake sun though. License 1675813. White male, monitoring me. 1675813, vehicle 1061. This is what C. Hazelwood and Owens were doing last night, and an engineer light as well. And this is the fake sun that's at this same intersection when I walk out of the OVITT Family Community Library. This is C Street and Laurel. And I've been documenting the entity engaging in what is criminal summoning, stalking in the path with light. Those two demons are going to federal prison. Okay, that's P.O.C. And the demons are acting together. The Ontario police harbor the same demon possession, the same condition, the same malice, that is, engaging in the same stalking, in other words. Those demons just dress up like police officers. All right, and they are gang stalking with people of all races. They're stalking as demons. That was light manifesting in the shade in that parking lot, where you're not supposed to be aware that those people are connected with what's going on here. You're not even supposed to be aware of the fact that what the police are doing at a distance from you has anything to do with you. But this is where you're recognizing the environment. And they're going to federal prison. That's committed in furtherance of murder, psychological torture, harassment, terrorism. And the entity is engaging in that when they know that they're being documented. This is why they're going to federal prison. C. Hazelwood and Owens are going to federal prison. They're gang stalking with impossible light at nightfall. They were shining me with light, and then a psychopath denies it. That's what C. Hazelwood did on video. He's a sex offender. He's also molesting me while he's also obsessed with my vagina. You cannot hear the train at that volume. There's no actual train on the tracks. It's as demonic as this fake sun. That's still here, by the way, in this manner. When I walk outside of the OVITT Family Community Library, which is right here on the opposite side of the same street at 6 p.m., the entity engages in this ongoing illusion. This is the entity that's going to be facing what is disbanding. They're going to federal prison for using the resources of a police department and encouraging the people of the state to engage in stalking and the absurdly demonic behavior, terrorizing behavior, harassing behavior of gang stalking with a police department. This is what the airlines are doing when they're stalking the path, just like you saw Southwest Airlines doing, just like you see them hovering where I'm flying, where I'm walking, perpetually taking off. There's no planes taking off. If you're taking off over the Ontario Town Square, why are you still hovering west of that location? But when I'm at the Ontario Town Square, Southwest Airlines is rising in elevation over 224 North Euclid Avenue, which is back there. And the fake sun is in alignment to the Ontario Town Square. The entity is keeping the fake sun over what is 415 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity is hovering over Euclid Avenue and doing U-turns to be in alignment with me on that street. This is where this demon at 218 C Street is engaging in monitoring where you live. Okay, this is P.O.C. And this is the entity that's engaging in that. I've documented the entity engaging in what is stalking with light, stalking with audible activity, stalking with the gang stalkers who are using the resources of a police department to engage in criminal summoning, to engage in criminal surveillance. And the fake sun is here, by the way, documented multiple times, including before 2025, absolutely. And they're doing so. Understand that light activity over there, those demons were monitoring with the police, and they're going to federal prison. 8 RVE 706. The demons of the Ontario police are gang stalking with the public. Impossible light, 8 RVE 706, that's a demon. Sunlight, first of all, there's a ricochet to the driver's side of your vehicle behind it. That's supposed to be the sneaky stealth conduct of someone that you never suspect. That's also relevant to psychological torture and the conduct of the police who are conspiring the murder of someone who is being surrounded by malicious actors who are stalking them until their death. The Ontario police is being disbanded. They're violent sex offenders keeping my vagina under surveillance inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, which is right here on the opposite side of the same street, which is why a population of demons who you see maliciously stalking now, they're engaging in ongoing stalking inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, where the fake sun is still here hours later. This is the P.O.C. Those two demons are going to federal prison. That's called criminal summoning. And that's what Owens and Turner engaged in last night with the entity that is stalking as a population. Jason Eisenfield and Tracy Banks are going to federal prison. And this is not a takeoff from the Ontario International Airport. That is, however, what you need to know, an enemy of American citizens conspiring and sacrificing American citizens, Amazon Prime. who you've seen engage in years of criminal surveillance, doing so with corrupt law enforcement agencies. This is what Amazon Prime is doing with the LAPD at Alvarado Gardens, where the sun is never going to be over this street. It kept it over Alvarado Gardens. 6JIW317 is acting in sync with the amplified audible activity. And there is no trajectory of sunlight where you're looking at that fake sun and it was manifesting in the shade over here. That's what I'm speaking of with regard to the unintelligence that is not relevant to the wicked and demonic conduct, the malicious behavior of demons that are secretly and covertly. They think that they're sophisticated. No, they're demons. That's how that light is manifesting out of nowhere. That's the significance of keeping your vehicle headlights aimed toward me and walking across the parking lot. These are the demons that are hostile while you identify them, and then they engage in stalking you in a helicopter. This is the demonic activity, the psychological torture that the Ontario Police Department share in, while a population knows exactly who you are. That light activity is speaking to knowledge, specific knowledge. The stalking in concert with the police, the conformity of the conduct with regard to the elements of monitoring, the stalking under the fake sun is all speaking to specific knowledge. And this is what they're engaging in while the Ontario police were monitoring at a distance the entire time, tracking my steps, knowing exactly where I go every day. Stalking, okay? P.O.C. This is Laurel Avenue and C Street. This is the pattern of conduct. This is the evidence that's disbanding the Ontario police. Understand that. Every gang stalking demon that I documented the whole department engaged in police training. They're being disbanded. And that was federal prison for a lot of those demons. They're sitting around laughing from ear to ear. You're looking at mental illness. That's a threat to the public. While they are engaging in what is gang stalking and doubling as police officers engaging in what is something related to their duty, they're being paid to engage in what is increasing their training, some sort of benefit to both them, the way they execute their duties, and they're gang stalking. That's the joke, is that they're all demons gang stalking. And they were doing it with a smile on their faces, taking it as a joke, while this is evidence putting that department in federal prison as I encounter them, disbanding that entire department, and also creating federal laws to deal with that level of corruption by an entity that's engaging in this surveillance, which is only committed in furtherance of murder. This is C Street and Euclid, 303 North Euclid Avenue. This is P.O.C. Those two demons of the Ontario police are going to federal prison. Alrighty, I'm capturing substantial video. That video was over 8 minutes, but I wanted to go through that. You're looking at impossible light activity. That's literally manifesting in a shaded parking lot. This is why you were not referring to race. That was a black male that was stalking me. That was another third party in the parking lot with regard to the red vehicle that was parked in that parking lot. This is where the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are monitoring together, while the entity is maintaining plane activity and while the entity is maintaining train activity, the sound of the train. It's not even the sound of the train. It's noise that's being maintained while you're looking at that fake sun that progressed in alignment with my progression. And you know, this is the same street where those same actors, the Ontario police by helicopter and the Ontario International Airport by planes, flying over me while I'm on this same street and a fake sun is then setting. All right, that's the pattern of conduct though. The entity is engaged in this P.O.C. and is doing so while they are monitoring the evidence in real time. So this is the entity that's listening to me document, is tracking my steps, and then is engaging in what is stalking in that manner. All right, it is currently 7:10 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, the entity that is gang stalking, it includes that which is committed by the third parties that I documented and the state actors that I documented. These are not strangers. This is an entity that's targeting together. And I also want to make sure that this is documented. The entity that is gang stalking me committed what is theft while I'm documenting them. 5UGX136 is crossing path. This is the demon that's not a stranger, and this is the demon that's representing an entity that went behind and stole my property while I'm documenting the demons, the entity that is stalking. So I want to make sure that I document that. Stole my Puma bag, which has my clothing. The demons that are obsessed with me, stealing my undergarments, stealing my food, which is in that bag, and stole my property. Remember, this is because they are being bullied with evidence, and those two demons that are gang stalked with the Ontario police are going to federal prison for that. They're gang stalking together, and they engage in theft together as well. This is what the entity is doing under the fake sun. The entity, strangers are not stealing from you. The entity that is gang stalking you is stealing from you, and the entity that is gang stalking you while you're documenting them, that's what's stealing from you. And this is the entity that does so while you are engaging in that pattern of conduct, and it's being published all over the internet. So I want to make sure that that's clear. That's the Ontario Police Department that's stealing my property. Okay, that's the state that is stalking. That's the Ontario International Airport. You saw Southwest Airlines. This is an entity together that's stealing my property. This is relevant also to the entity that's going to be prosecuted. City of Ontario Crossing Path License 1302476 with the entity that is UPS Crossing Path, not flying over like Southwest Airlines is to be in alignment to me. Not doing a U-turn over the Ontario Town Square when I am on the opposite side of the street. The entity is doing so over Euclid Avenue, getting in alignment to me, stalking. And that's also the entity that just committed what is theft of my property while I am documenting, and also because I am documenting them. Understand that this is the entity that is hostile while I am documenting the pattern of conduct, and they're engaging what is theft of property based on that. So because I just caught damning evidence, understand a demon comes behind and swipes my property. And this is the entity, I want to be clear, Tracy Banks stealing my property. This is an entity. So this is an entity that's engaged in that together. They're going to be prosecuted for that. This is Jason Isaac Fields. This is a hostile demon. Sitting up, engaging federal stalking, not engaging in a federal investigation. This is not an investigation. This is exposing the federal government. All right, Jason Isaac Fields has already committed a series of federal crimes. The federal government has already violated me. The federal government has stolen property and money from me, and then I'm documenting it on the internet. So the federal government is facing facts regarding how they were targeting me the entire time and not accidentally or ignorantly defaming me while I'm being gang stalked at the same time, and the entity is avoiding justice while then claiming, oh, we're going to conduct an investigation regarding false allegations about me in the first place. This is the entity that is sitting up watching me document because federal agents are facing federal prison like Jason Isaac Fields. And this is somebody that is very much hostile. The more that I document the Ontario police, the closer that Jason Isaac Fields gets to federal prison. And the same with Tracy Banks. And the same with Eric Spencer. The same with every other demon that's sat in court. Understand that they're interested, while they're stealing my property, this is the closer that the demon of the Ontario police are to federal prison. They're serving the corrupt purposes of the federal government that's not engaging in an investigation at all. Okay, that's P.O.C. The entity is stealing my property, stealing my computer, which I use to publish my computer, which is containing all of my personal property, stealing my everything that I have to survive off of, my blanket outside. All right, stealing what is my food. My food was inside of there as well. But the entity is stealing things like your underwear. These are the demons that monitor my vagina. They're engaging what is nothing other than a means of trying to oppress you. And this is, again, the tactics of demons like Jason Isaac Fields. This is an entity. Jason himself doesn't have to be outside stealing my property. This is what an entity just committed because of the level of evidence. This is what the entity that is corrupt, the entity that is going to be prosecuted for it. This is theft committed by an entity in the same way that you're seeing what is kidnapping committed by an entity. The entity that calls the police on you and then wages false allegations is the entity that's stalking in impossible light, stalking with the entity that provides plain activity, and stalking with the entity that provides amplified audible light. They're all engaging in stalking you together. And they're also engaged in what is stealing from you together. And that's, again, the damning evidence that I capture. Understand the reason why, but also understand what are the repercussions of the entity that is engaged in this level of oppression. All right? The entity is engaging in that while they are sitting up stalking. And there is the entity that's engaged in the pattern of proof, that's like stating you shouldn't come outside because you know that they're going to steal from you. First of all, that's not a concern that you should have to. Of course, you should use prudence. But you're going to come outside, and I'm also going to document you. And it remains equally a criminal act by the gang stalkers who are the fake police officers. Okay? So while they're stalking in the path, looking to the left and right with their police lights on, and they're monitoring me, and I'm capturing evidence of it, this is the entity that is stalking and monitoring me, listening to me breathe, parked on the side of the road while they're monitoring, and they engage. That level of obsession is what is stealing my property because they're hostile as I document them. 5NVJ605, and the entity has committed this many, many times before, and this is also that which is committed in furtherance of trying to obstruct justice because of the tools that I use that are inside of my bag, such as my mostly my computer, my MacBook, which is, again, relevant to harm. The entity stole my vehicle as well. This is what the same Ontario police, Jason Isaac Fields, the federal government, Tracy Banks, stealing everything that was inside of that car as well with an intent to obstruct justice. This is why I filed my civil case against the state where the entity evaded service of process, which the entity committed in furtherance of murder, wanting to engage in accomplishing why they were gang stalking in the first place. This is why Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison. I just want to make sure that that's clear. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct and is stealing property based on the specific knowledge of who I am, in the same way that the gang stalking system is proving specific knowledge of who I am. All right, that's P.O.C. The third parties that are engaging in what is theft as an entity is also going to be prosecuted for that. This is what the entity has been doing, stealing my property, they stole my car, and the Ontario police claimed that they were engaging what is towing it because they didn't know who it was, but they were stalking me in helicopters, keeping the fake sun over my car, just like they are every night where I'm sleeping out at the for example, at the Topor Professional Building, and they're stalking at the Topor Professional Building, then you have the demons that walk out under the color of authority and have the people of the state, who also know who I am, engage in what is towing it after the people of the state engaged in what is taking off the license plate and the VIN number while the entity engaged in kidnapping. This was all happening in May 2019 when I'm filing my case against the state. And it's another oppressive act of the entity. And the entity is going to federal prison for that. That is indeed Jason Isaac Fields, who's going to federal prison for stealing a transient's property because the transient is prosecuting him from while I'm out here on the field and he's sitting back and watching it as somebody that's envious and was hopeful for my death, while his feckless witchcraft and his sexual promiscuity is not enough to overpower what it is that's working with regard to my ability to prosecute from a distance, okay? And that distance is an illusion as well, because this demon is monitoring me through the corrupt businesses and through the entirety of that entity, and this demon is relying on the criminal activity of the Ontario Police. All right, that's P.O.C. License 8YCD 481. Gang stalking under the fake sun at 320 North Euclid Avenue, the downtown Ontario apartments, where the fake sun is still present at 6 p.m. All right, that's where the Ontario Police are gang stalking with the entity that's utilizing commercial planes, flying over the venue. Hold on. Yeah, you'll see the City of Ontario using a leaf blower, and you'll see the entity stalking, flying over the venue now. All right, that's giving context regarding what you see. 8JYX842 and AMR with the same impossible light under the fake sun, gang stalking as a population while Ontario Police were at that intersection, and then they together engaged in stealing property. And why? Because these demons are mad with regard to their engagement in that criminal pattern of conduct. Okay? The entity is going to federal prison for stealing from a homeless person that prosecuted the population. Don't forget that. And that's the entity that is that desperate, that envious. And this is the criminal conduct that Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks are going to federal prison for, oppressing me, because together the demons cannot, of course, I told you that it's an ignoramus that's engaging in the pattern of conduct and psychological torture. That's not the conduct of someone that's intelligent. The demons don't like that they're being truthfully exposed regarding monitoring my vagina, regarding being unintelligent, regarding being obsessed with me. These are the very things that they try to disprove and make you feel the exact opposite about by gang stalking you, engaging that level of psychology, like dark psychology, trying to make you feel as though you're crazy, trying to make you feel as though you're worthless. That's not happening. With the reality of gang stalking is showing how you are the center of their fake universe, and they're psychopaths maintaining a fake universe around you while they're all obsessively stalking, which is worshiping you. It's idolatry. And they engage in theft of property because they are hostile losers, and they're losers that are going to be prosecuted for that. That's not a small thing when the government is gang stalking you to the point of what is being a transient, and that's so that they can commit murder and then blame you for that while they seek to defame your character. Oh, they just died because, that's why they were homeless, because they couldn't work anymore, they couldn't function, and died of an overdose. No one knows where they are at. They were unstable in all of their ways, and that's why they died under those circumstances. That's an unlawful threat to your life, and the entity also then engages in what is further oppressing you by stealing property from the person that's prosecuting them. That's what's relevant, okay? That's P.O.C. also. It's currently 7:27 a.m. That includes my MacBook. That's a $2,000 laptop. And the entity is engaging in what is a theft of property, and that's evidence. The entity is going to federal prison for that. The Ontario Police are going to federal prison for what I just documented, and theft of my evidence in doing so. So I want to make sure that that's clear. This is 7:21 a.m. This is the entity that's engaging in that. I'm going to publish this online because it's relevant to what it is that's happening in real time. And that's shared by the demons that are Southwest Airlines. That's the entity that's engaging in what is stalking while they're stealing from me at the same time. They know where my property is. They know what's going on with my vagina. They know who I am. That's all proven, while then they engage in what is theft, okay? That's the pattern of conduct while I'm capturing very damning evidence. You're going to look at that video because it's very damning. All of the evidence is damning, but it's very damning evidence. And what I got against Owens, which is against the entire Ontario Police Department, the demons were stalking last night in helicopter. As I began editing those videos and putting them online, you'll see the images of the Ontario Police stalking in helicopter. They're flying in front of me. This is, document this. Don't publish the video. That's what these demons are doing. This is psychological torture, threatening you while they are engaging in what is monitoring in real time while I begin editing the videos in order to publish them on YouTube. And you'll see the images of the Ontario Police parking right across the street. That's psychological torture when they're stalking you conspicuously. Okay, and they're doing so while they know I am publishing video, which they are very hostile to being published on the internet. And it's already on the internet. It is not a surprise the entity the next morning is stealing my property. property when given the opportunity to do so. Okay, you're going to be prosecuted for that regardless. It's not going to be, well, you shouldn't have documented. You shouldn't have left your stuff so that the entity can still. The entity has no business stalking in the first place. The entity certainly should not be stalking through police officers, with police officers who want to be perceived as police officers. They're not. They're perceived as the demons, the obsessed sex offenders that they are. These are pedophiles that are engaging in an exposed system of gang stalking. And they're engaging in this on behalf of the federal government. Corrupt officials such as Jason Isaac Fields, who has already committed theft in furtherance, in expectation that the theft victim is going to die. That's why Jason Isaac Fields is gang stalking, and doing so in concert with the thieves of the city of Ontario. Demons who are psychopaths, stealing property, hovering over me while I'm asleep, stalking me while my panties are down, monitoring me and stalking in the most absurdly and expensive way, speaking to mental illness and obsession, using planes and helicopters in a whole operation of a police department. And it's an intelligent operation that I have thoroughly broken down because they're going to be disbanded as well in order for you to understand how gang stalking is operating anywhere. Okay, it's currently 7:24 a.m. This is P.O.C. Ontario International Airport is stalking while I walk from 415 North Euclid Avenue to what is 303 North Euclid Avenue, where my property is stolen, and I'm documenting it in real time. While I'm documenting that evidence of the entity that's conspiring my murder, gang stalking, and I capture evidence of it, that's the entity that is stealing my property at the same time. That African-American male, he's going to be prosecuted. He's directly engaging in the pattern of conduct in my face, but understand it's an entity. He's going to be prosecuted with regard to not only gang stalking me, that entity whose license plate I documented. That includes those demons of the Ontario Police. They commit theft together as one. Okay, this POC, it's 7:24 a.m. on August 21st, 2025. POC. This is the entity that's under the fake sun that's over the Ontario Town Square, no longer over 415 North Euclid Avenue. All right? And that's how you're also, the common sense is that because there's no air arrivals or departures from the airport at 2500 Archibald Drive. And there's also no sun that's going to be over this property or remain on Euclid Avenue, and it's moving in alignment to me where they're maintaining plane activity, concentrating plane activity where I'm at. Okay, and it's also not only based on physical where I'm at, but it's also based on what I'm doing. For example, helicopter activity occurring the moment that I begin publishing the video of Owens and C. Hazelwood stalking in concert with the people of the state who are going to federal prison. And I want to be clear, they represent an entity that together committed theft. And this is theft that's committed with the intent to oppress, to retaliate, while they are conspiring my murder by gang stalking. You're engaged in the conspiracy to murder by gang stalking, period. The Ontario Police Department is being disbanded. And I'm documenting these demons while they use helicopter activity as a means of harassment, threatening, while they are keeping me under surveillance and what I'm doing on the internet. And that's exactly what I documented in the images, which you'll see. I'm showing you what's going on my laptop when the demon, well, not on my laptop, on my phone, when those demons of the Ontario Police pull up and park in front of where I'm located at 415 North Euclid Avenue in a vehicle. And then the entity begins stalking in helicopter. And I'm showing you that while I'm publishing and editing my videos, which they're anticipating. And that was a means of trying to threaten me, harass me, and also distract me. Oh, don't publish that. Get me over here. Here, I'm in the helicopter. But it's also a threat. The entity uses the same tactic to engage in more criminal conduct after you document it. And that's what I'm always capturing on. The entity is stalking by helicopter. I capture that, and then I go about publishing it. And then the entity engages in it over and over again. And this is how I go from getting one video of the entity engaging in what is the evidence of monitoring using helicopter activity, representing the police engaging in the demonic conduct of stalking and harassing and psychologically torturing. And then I get 7 more videos that night, while the entity then engages in the same conduct as I go about the process of publishing it. And this is all while demons are sitting back thinking that they're siphoning some sort of spiritual power because you're stalking and monitoring a federal prosecutor who is building and accumulating evidence that is beyond any reasonable doubt proving the fact that you are stalking as a whole department. You're gang stalking, and you're demons in doing so, as I've broken down and defined that system and how the demon possessed are operating, and the corruption by the government as it's engaging in that demonic system. Hence, stalking by police departments, fire departments, and airports. The entity is doing so in concert with a whole population. You're not siphoning any spiritual power. This is how pathetic they are, stealing my property. That's how desperate they are, and that's also how fearful they are. And you're going to federal prison for that. Understand that's a criminal act of obstruction of justice. But for my ability to use a cell phone, which is merely trying to make it harder when you steal my car and I can't sleep in my car, so now I'm sleeping outside because you are trying to oppress that target individual that's prosecuting you because you're scared when I brought my civil case. That's why they evaded service of process. The same kidnappers at San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department did not provide service of process, a duty within their office. It is written a statute that they do that. They provide that service. And the court that has a duty to make the sheriff's department do what they are what they are obligated to do under statute. That's the reason why the court, that's also a gang stalker. Fake sun, helicopter activity over my head at that courthouse where they are not engaging in what their duty is. That's because they are engaging in the pattern of conduct, targeting, and in furtherance of the conspiracy to murder and stealing my property and then not giving me justice with regard to what I'm entitled to after stealing my property is a part of the whole purpose in stealing in the first place, to make it harder, to stop you. That is obstruct justice. And you're going to prison for that. It's not based on the value of that property to the government or to the federal government, how you assess it. It's an act of oppression with the intent to obstruct justice. The demons think that they're going to punish you by stealing your property because you're documenting and prosecuting them. You're going to federal prison for that. So you want to, this is all manner of what is violence against women. And this is a psychopath, Jason Isaac Fields, that thinks that someone is going to deal with him or refer to him as anything other than a predator and a psychopath, having sex with my mother and conspiring my death with her, defaming my character, stealing from me, oppressing from me while kidnapping me. He is engaged in kidnapping with these same demons that I'm documenting. And he is the one that is interested in what is my oppression while he is targeting, engaging in federal stalking, while I am being still subject to that pattern of conduct where he is not engaging in any investigation, nor was he ever. He is directly interested in that, and he represents the federal government. Whatever agency gave him that job in order for him to use it to target me. While I'm showing you Southwest Airlines gang stalking me under the fake sun and the people pacing around with engineered light, that's ongoing terrorism and psychological torture, which the federal government is interested in continuing. Oppressing and stealing my property, which the entity is interested in continuing, with the intent to obstruct justice. The federal government, demons like Jason Isaac Fields, they're going to federal prison. It's not based on the value that the government provides to that evidence. And when you are a transit, when you're homeless, whatever your circumstances, the government doesn't have a right to steal your gum, to steal your 52 cents, let alone your property that you are relying on, such as sleeping in your vehicle that has everything that you own, or stealing your property that has what is key to publishing your evidence, which is relevant to saving your life and keeping you protected and safe. Just trying to make it harder. That's the end. You're going to federal prison. This is, understand as I'm breaking that down, and that's specifically what the Ontario Police, those demons that are going to federal prison that I documented this morning, are directly interested in that outcome. And these lower demons are serving this is the lower demon, Jason. He was given a federal a position based on his targeting me. So he's not some higher spiritual being. Clearly he's not. He's a demon, equally surrounded with evidence. While I'm watching the evidence of him stalking me, I'm capturing the evidence of him stalking me, and why he's going to federal prison, who he was targeting me with, and who he has been targeting me with the entire time for years. Stealing, I mean, an undisclosed amount of money from me, okay, and stealing more than personal property, okay. This is what he's been doing the entire time. These are the demons that he relied on, and he is not investigating anything. The entity is not investigating who they know is never violent or committing any crime. The entity is engaging in what is gang stalking me and calling it a federal investigation because they are engaging and desperate for anything that we can have to corroborate what Fields has stated, what Fields has done in court, because Fields is going to federal prison. Fields doesn't have anything ever that's going to support that. And an American citizen is not going to be subject to this. What the government's doing now, this is what's going to inform federal prosecution. The entity that's prolonging and delaying justice, the entity is doing so while they're watching that oppression. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in what is an investigation upon what is my published investigation. That's not an investigation by the feds. The feds have been forced. Their hand has been forced. And they are doing it as slowly as they possibly can. That's not justice. I'm going to prosecute for that. You're not investigating when the entity is engaging in what is conspiring the murder of an American citizen. Every moment your life remains in jeopardy. My ability to stand beneath that and resist that and confront that does not mean that you're subject to any less of an intense federal prosecution, any less of a consequence. That's not what that means. You're going to understand, I'm advocating on behalf of the ordinary target individual that's supposed to be 6 feet under already. That is thrown off by stealing their property, stealing their car, stealing everything they own. That's going to be enough to bully them out of enforcing their rights. That's going to be enough to disincentivizing them, exposing. You're going to federal prison for that. You're going to federal prison as the federal government facilitating that and relying on that and being interested in that. You're going to federal prison. Your involvement in it. You're going to federal prison. It is currently 7:32 a.m. This is the entity that's not only engaging in what is gang stalking. They committed theft together as an entity, knowing exactly who I am. And the entity is engaging in that with the intent to obstruct justice. And this is a pattern of conduct. This is the same entity that's following day and night in helicopters, aware and very hostile to everything that's published online about them, and engaged in what is stealing from a homeless person, because that's how overwhelmed I have as one person. I have overwhelmed them with evidence, and I have also outsmarted them. These are demons that are hostile because you know that they're monitoring my vagina, and they did not want you to know that. They wanted to falsely depict my character and make it seem like I'm imagining and making up things, which doesn't even make any sense. That doesn't even make any sense. But like I said, this is what the entity relied on. The entity is engaging in what is relying on the system of criminal defamation doesn't work against someone like me, in other words. That does not work. It doesn't work at all. It's entirely illogical as well. And that's what I'm speaking on behalf of the ordinary target individual. Even when you try to defame someone else that you think is more capable of being defamed because they've been arrested for drug violation, or they've been on probation before, or they have some blemish on their record, it is equally unlawful and illogical to defame another person for the criminal conduct of a population who is in fact targeting, who are in fact demons, who are in fact sex offenders and criminals targeting together. That has nothing to do with the targeted individual, whether or not they have an arrest for a probation violation or not, whether or not they've been to jail for committing a crime or not. Absolutely nothing. Okay? So this is the entity that relies on that, and this system doesn't work against me. And all they've done is engaged in what is theft, these acts of oppression. Guess what? You're going to federal prison. This is what Thomas Garza engaged in what is denying me justice for, because he was counting on my demise, meaning being 6 feet under. And from 2019 to the present, it's 2025. And guess where? There is no statute of limitations regarding the oppression that Thomas Garza committed with regard to obstructing justice, because he was acting in furtherance of my murder, gang stalking me at that courthouse as well, in furtherance of murder. While the demons do exactly what you see the Ontario Police Department doing, stalking me by helicopter. And how do you know that it was me specifically that they were stalking at the San Bernardino County Courthouse at Arrowhead and 3rd? Because the fake sun is over the top of my head and the entity's flying over my head in a helicopter that's amplified in volume, the same identical pattern of conduct. How is that ever happening at any time of year when I've shown you the evidence of what is the fake sun rising and setting on one street? That doesn't matter how many years ago that was. That's never going to happen at any time of year, regardless of daylight savings time. And the years go by, that will never change in that probative value of that evidence. This is criminal conduct that Thomas Garza, that stole my vehicle. Understand, he represents an entity. He doesn't have to be the demon in particular that's put his hands on my car and stole it. But he permits the Ontario Police to continuously oppress, continuously kidnap, continuously sexually violate, continuously psychologically torture and harass as an entity. A bunch of demons stalking me in the middle of the night, making false allegations because they want to be in my face and try to impliedly threaten me because they want me to be quiet. So that's why you're telling me about some demon that told you that I tried to break into their raggedy, torn down establishment where they don't even have any business. Okay? They don't have any clientele. Nobody cares about them and their paper sign over her door. This is what the entity is relying on. That's what Thomas Garza is intentionally and knowingly doing in concert with the very heavily documented San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. That's not an anomaly. I've been documenting the criminal conduct of Thomas Garza, and I stated that years ago. You will be prosecuted for that which you are engaging in and that which you are facilitating when you are denied justice, denied what is a First Amendment speech right, a fundamental right, which then was confirmed by the appellate level and the California Supreme Court on what is no serious controversy at all. Very plain. Service of process. Nobody can figure out that I'm entitled to service of process. Nobody was able to figure that out at any level while they're gang stalking me, including at that courthouse. And today in 2025, not conducting a federal investigation, stealing my property and hoping that that'll slow me down so that the entity can gain some sort of evidence at this juncture in a case. Because Jason Isaac Fields is embarrassed by all the lies that he spoke on my character while he's been engaging in anal sex with Tracy Banks. He's embarrassed by that while I put that on my podcast. He's embarrassed because of his homosexuality that I put on my podcast because it's relevant to the malice, the secrets that he holds while he's lying on my character. The lack of credibility that he has, the lack of credibility with regard to the federal government claiming that they're conducting an investigation when all they're doing is engaging what is sitting back and watching what tactics are going to work against me, what's going to have me appear anything remotely close to what Jason Isaac Fields has painted in a court pertaining to property that he shouldn't even have any knowledge about in a case that he has no involvement in but for having sex with my gang stalking mother who has been conspiring my death. He's engaged in that conspiracy and facilitating it as a corrupt government actor. He's going to federal prison either way that you look at that, including while I'm documenting, it is his fault and it's the federal government's fault that I am being stolen from today, that I'm sleeping outside today, while demons, I dare, if I find out, that you're going to find out on the opposite side of this federal case, if Jason Isaac Fields to date remains in custody of any property that belongs to me, The entity that's remaining in custody, because the federal government should have already seized it. The federal government should have already taken it from these thieves. And if they are still engaged, they're still paying from property that belongs to me to gang stalkers like the Ontario Police. The demons are sitting at the Ontario Town Square engaging, paying these bums to keep me under surveillance through property that belongs to me. You're going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison. That's the federal government that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. That's beyond a merely incompetent investigation. That's engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct. I continuously suffer damages that the entity did not do its job in limiting and stopping the criminal act at all. We're well beyond having probable cause regarding the truth, the veracity of what it is that I'm speaking. So at the very least, you should have stopped it in the event that you find out whatever it is that you're claiming that you're finding out. These are malicious demons. They're engaging in surveillance throughout this country. The federal government knows who I am. The federal government knows what I've been subject to. The federal government is approached with evidence that I put all over the internet. The federal government is in a pickle. The federal government is forced to address it somehow. The federal government is sitting back watching me being gang stalked in the city of Ontario. Sitting back and watching demons, little pissant demons like Owens and Hazelwood, excuse my French, but that's how insignificant they are. These are lower level demons that we're supposed to keep gang stalking contained, while they come up and lie talking about they were told something about trespassing. The people of the state are being documented. The federal government sitting back watching all of that, watching the lies, watching the entity claiming what they were told with regard, and that's supposed to be the evidence of that's why I'm here, because that's what I was told, and I don't know if that's the truth or not, but I don't want to get into that's all audible activity. The federal government is sitting back watching all of that. And if the entity remaining in custody of my property, and that's going to be known as well. There's a greater context surrounding the entity being permitted to be in a position to steal my property while I have to single-handedly conduct an actual legitimate investigation. The government cannot be trusted at any level, including the federal government that's been targeting me since I was a child. This is how you get this public corruption by the state, the city of Ontario. This is how you have demons stalking in commercial planes. And you're talking about what is obvious. There's no long, you're talking about a basic investigation of the operation of an airport. And I've been documenting this obvious targeting by the Ontario International Airport for years. And they're listening to all the ways. Listen, I'm just one person letting you know on this end of the investigation, on this end of what is going to be publicized nationwide. The entity there is no planes that would ever be, I would never be able to see the logo. They're not going to be doing donuts and dips and U-turns in the sky space. That has nothing to do with what is also not published regarding arrivals and departures. The flights that have passengers on them engaging in what is these deviations from an airport, perpetually floating at a low elevation through the city to engage in gang stalking me and then resuming your flight. However they're doing that, whatever details that entails, what is the entity that is targeting in the incredible manner such as stalking by planes, which is a pattern of conduct I've documented throughout the state. And they're always doing it in the specific environment, the engineer light, and the fake sun, the fake moon. I'm showing you the environment while the entity is engaging in the same P.O.C. The entity is engaging in this, and it's no mystery. The federal government is sitting back and watching, not because they don't know what's going on, but because they're trying to figure out what avenue can we take, because they don't want to appear as the criminals that they are. And Jason Isaac Fields is a wound to the federal government. He's going to federal prison. It is his fault that my property is being stolen. It's his fault that I'm outside right now, living in property that belongs to me, money that belongs to me. This is what this demon Tracy Banks has been doing for years. But then you hear her audible activity as though she can criminally defame me, stating that I can't hold a job. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're talking about a higher education, a doctor of the law, somebody that is trained to, and you're witnessing my training as an attorney. Not being a part of the California bar was a personal decision, a personal and professional decision, actually, with regard to protecting my license, not permitting envious demons that I knew at the outset were targeting me. I had yet to discover the elaborate extent to which the entity is targeting and is envious of me, stalking me on the job, so that some low-life demon like Tracy Banks, who collects welfare, a form of welfare to pay her rent, she is the low-life, she's the brokey, while she wants to target me so that she can call me a brokey. Those are the delusional psychopaths that I'm talking about. And so is Jason Isaac Fields, her sex partner. That's the same age as her son. She is a pedophile. Okay, she's an elderly age pedophile, sleeping with children the same age as hers. Okay, the entity's engaging in this, and Jason Isaac Fields is no victim. He's another brokey that thought that bullying me was going to change the prospects of his life, and he was right about that, because he's going to federal prison, and he's not going to have anything to do with law enforcement. And this is what the entity is committing, because they're mad. They're very much angry about not only the truth that I speak, but how probative it is. Literally, the evidence of the P.O.C. is that which is insurmountable. It is impenetrable. Okay, and the demons who are, I'm dealing with a spirit of Satan, very, very, very hostile. This is when they stole my vehicle in 2019. So I want to be clear. This is the entity that has a pattern of obstruction of justice. It didn't stop me from prosecuting in 2019. It's not going to stop it now. But because the federal government is sitting back and watching it, permitting it. There's no mystery. They set up and watch the demon come behind me, swipe my property. It helps the entity that's gang stalking. They're interested in that. Oh, this will make it harder for her. This is something that, oh, now she's going to be cold at night when she's sleeping outside. Jason Isaac Fields never should have stole my house, my money. Never should have been having sex with my mother behind my back. He's not a victim. He's not a victim at all. You're going to federal prison. And while they engage in these petty acts, they're very serious federal offenses for which government actors are going to federal prison for. The value is not going to be based on some dollar amount that the entity assesses. It's going to be based on the oppressive nature of that act. While you don't have a right to steal 52 cents, like I said, they're stealing 52 cents while they're conspiring your murder. You're going to federal prison. Does it make you feel better to have that detail published on the video of the internet? Because it's showing how inferior they feel. It's showing how fearful they are. It's showing how intimidated they are. It's showing how terrified they are. And they should be. They should be. Because you're going to federal prison for everything that they are committing as an entity that obsesses over my vagina. Pedophiles molesting and stalking. Mad because I tell you their license plate, that I give you close-up images so you can see their pores. Mad because I show you their kids, their little demon-possessed children that they're gang stalking with. They're mad about all of that, okay? They're mad because of the inquiry that I maintain with the gang stalking police officers that don't know how to actually execute their duties as officers while they're acting like they're actually demons. They're not engaged in law enforcement. And I encourage everyone else in this country to not discuss gang stalking police departments as law enforcement. They are not. Do not address them in that manner. Do not give them that level of acknowledgement. Acknowledge them based on what they have done and what they sought to masquerade as. And this is relevant to what they are as well. Demon possessed. Satan is masquerading as police officers. Satan is masquerading as mothers and fathers. Satan is masquerading as the public of strangers. And they're all stalking. This is a spirit. And in the physical, you're going to acknowledge them in the same way. You're not police officers. They're literally thieves. Stole my laptop because that's how scared of me they are. That's how pathetic they are. It's also pathetic because you're all monitoring my vagina together. While then on the surface, you want to act like I'm some brokey. This is what this welfare collecting high school graduate, Tracy Banks, who has sex with everybody that I know because she is in some delusion in her mind thinking that there's some competition. I'm not even having sex with everybody that I know. This is a demon. She's a sex offender. She is a psychopath. And engaging in what is theft of my property is something that a lower level demon that is engaging in what is the deeds of death, pettiness, stealing. Oh, this'll make them mad. I'm going to steal their property. You're going to federal prison for it. So I hope that you win. You want to play those type of games while you're engaging in the pattern of conduct committed by a government. You go to federal prison. There's no pettiness with regard to the consequences. You're going to federal prison. Jason Isaac Fields never should have been a part of this case in the first place. He is going to federal prison. Period. The entity's engaged. I've been homeless since the entity engaged in an unlawful eviction. And why did they engage in an unlawful eviction? First of all, they were counting on me remaining kidnapped inside of Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, where they were gang stalking, by the way. But that didn't work. And the entity is engaged in what is gang stalking me while I'm homeless, with the intent to commit murder. Okay? This is why they engage in this oppressive means of monitoring while they're trying to use what is the circumstance that they create, which is also economic only and not relevant under the law with regard to mental illness, which is why I'm advocating on behalf of everyone, because that's not enough to interfere under some sort of statute regarding any level of mental illness. That's not relevant. It's not relevant enough to interfere with property rights. And the fact that the entity was gang stalking and manufacturing it, meaning lying on my character, that's also evidence to let you know that under no circumstances is that relevant. And it's certainly not going to be the case anymore because the entity is engaging in surveillance and they lie on the people that they're stalking and monitoring because they want to steal from them. Steal property that you don't even know belongs to them. I'm not a brokey, whether or not the entity stole a fortune from me that I was ignorant about. I'm the only one that has an education. I'm the only one that has the wherewithal, the presence of mind to invest in my future like that. I'm the only one that is capable of making a level of money that none of the demons who I know by name have ever legitimately made in their life. Okay, by being a doctor of law, getting my California bar, and serving my future interests in that manner. That is nobody that is a brokey. I'm not a brokey intellectually. I'm not a brokey with regard to wisdom and foresight. I'm not a brokey physically also. The demons are stalking and monitoring me. And I have enough wisdom and foresight to remove myself from that threat by leaving that job. But I have a right to keep a job and not be subject to terrorism and have my life threatened every day. because of that economic harm inherent to gang stalking, and then engaging in what are things such as unlawful eviction, where you're targeting me inside of your apartment the whole day, and a delusional psychopath that's relying on the surface of the thing is engaging in things such as calling me or trying to denigrate my character, which again, no sex offender, no pedophile, no welfare recipient that actually lives that lifestyle as a low-life criminal, stealing the identities of people, engaging in insurance schemes and frauds. You're a thief, and you're trying to deflect by calling me denigrating, like I'm some sort of impoverished, broke person with no prospect. This is the demon that's been projecting for years. I am a college graduate. Tracy Banks hasn't even taken a college course. There is no comparison, however. It is only in her mind where she's drawing comparisons to me. And the only way that she does that is trying to oppress me. And in her mind, she's quote unquote bringing me down to her level. And I will never be, even while I am sleeping outside, and these demons that are scared of me because of my evidence abilities, prosecutorial abilities, stealing from me because they are hopeful that that will at least bother me, while they're still trying to use witchcraft. None of the above. You're going to federal prison. I hope it's worth it. While you steal my laptop, you're going to federal prison. And there is nothing that will put me on the same level as a demon-possessed pedophile who is a stalker and a criminal and a thief. That does not put me on the same level as you. At all. It will never be the case. You're witnessing me prosecute with absolutely nothing. Okay? The entity's engaging in that, and I want to be clear, you're going to federal prison for it. I'm going to let you know, again, according to, based on reality, normal, healthy people like you and I, those of you who are listening, not the demons that are delusional, telling and acting, and they also lie to themselves. They look in the mirror every day and they tell themselves they're not crazy. They tell themselves they're not sex offenders. They're not pedophiles, even though they have sex with children and they're sexually interested in children. They're not criminals. They're not demons, even though they engage in the demonic pattern of conduct that I have broken down for them so that they cannot deny it. And they're also going to be prosecuted by it. They look in the mirror and tell themselves the opposite. They're delusional. These are the same demons that are again, to healthy people like you and I, we know the truth of the matter. None of this is anything that any person, regardless of their economic state, would participate in. And I am also the evidence demonstrating that. These are the demons that stole from me. Okay? And it's relevant to what an American citizen has a right to not be subject to. So you document anything. They stole your 52 cents. That's occurring while the government is conspiring your murder. And it's duly noted. The government never has any right whatsoever. This is a conspiracy to murder. When the government is keeping you under surveillance and stalking you, why is the government doing that? Oh, the government's trying to surround you. Okay, in your mind's eye, you need to picture in your mind's eye being in a dark corner, because this is where the government is seeking to surround you and then wants to execute you and then paint a whole picture regarding what actually happened to you. This is the system of gang stalking. This is what the Ontario Police Department are doing. None of them are intellectually meeting where I'm at with regard to proving what it is that I've already established. So these demons come around and steal my property. You're going to federal prison. I hope you know that the evidence is still sitting on the record. The demons are stealing my property. The federal government is permitting it to happen. These are damages that are accumulating, and I'm going to prosecute for it. Jason Isaac Fields stealing my property. Nobody cares about you being under whatever this demon would. The federal government never had any right in the first place. You're going to federal prison, period. You shouldn't even be involved in any case pertaining to property that belongs to me or gang stalking me, which you already know that you were gang stalking me. You were not a legitimate friend in the first place. You were gang stalking the whole time. Now you're caught up in a federal case that you don't want to go to federal prison for. But I want to be clear, under the law that's going to surround federal group stalking and monitoring, you were going to federal prison, period, because I know your name, because I used to converse with you on the phone. The government is relying on you to call me every day, to hang out with me, to keep me under surveillance, while you're a whole demon monitoring, conspiring my murder. You were going to federal prison regardless, but you're going to federal prison for much more than that. Okay? Having sex with my mother was nothing other than a route showing your lack of morality, showing your inherent conflict, your incompetence in your job at whatever level with the federal government, while you're engaging you're a low-life thief. You're a low-life thief who is sitting back fearful. I want to be clear. Make sure that that's understood, abundantly clear. He's going to federal prison. His sex partner, Tracy Banks, is going to federal prison. Everybody that sat in those court hearings, defaming my character, sitting in the court hearings, period, it's a criminal act. You're going to federal prison. But the entity is going to expose what perjurious testimony was given in a criminal act. It's a criminal act. You're going to address the entity in the way that it is, not based on the illusions that they present, not based on the system of public corruption that they're engaging in. Meaning you're not going to address a gang stalker that's wearing a police officer uniform as a police officer. You will with regard to understanding using words that we can convey, but you're going to make sure that there is a diligent, conscious effort to acknowledge criminals. This is disincentivizing it as well. You're not going to be given that respect. You're not going to be acknowledged in that manner while you're engaging in what is conspiring murder and doing so specifically by wearing police officer uniforms and badges and representing those departments. That incentivizes that ongoing conduct. That makes them feel as though they have some sort of power, which they never did at the outset, and it takes one person in order to demonstrate. Let me show you, let me prove to you how they don't have any actual power and authority. The only reason why they feel is this way, these are demons. This is an ego, this is a demonic spirit, because they commit murder. And what type of person feels empowered by oppressing another person, another innocent person? And I don't care if you kill a drug addict that you're gang stalking. With regard to the entity that's targeting that drug addict, they are engaging in what is taking the life of somebody. You don't have a right to take their life. You don't have a right to engage in that level of bullying someone because you're able to then cover up the fact that you are engaging in that. You're controlling the narrative. This is what psychopaths feel empowered and feel like a god. That's psychopathic. That's not actual power and authority either. And I will prosecute you under the laws as they exist. And I will surround you with federal laws that shall come into existence in order to show you and make your reality in conformity to that, because you're not. And in the United States, you are not. And the existing policies are not such that you are supposed to. That's not the reality. You're corrupt and you're abusing the system. And based on your abuse of the system, a federal prosecution is going to meet you where you're at. Okay, this is the entity that engaged in stealing my property. So I wanted to go through that. The entity stole my property. That includes, again, my personal property, stealing my underwear, stealing my food, stealing my my blankets, stealing my what I use with regard to my toiletries, stealing what it is, my water, everything, stealing everything that I need. Okay, that's not a small thing. That's very oppressive, especially somebody that is in a transient state. And the entity that had no right in the first place to ever steal my property, you're going to federal prison. Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks, the entity, Eric Corey Spencer, while you're witnessing it, while they engage in that conduct, this level of pettiness that demons have you engaging in, you're going to federal prison for it. And that's when you're going to be sitting in federal prison regretting the demons that compel you to engage in the foolish documented acts that I have captured you in evidence engaging in as an entity. Eric Spencer doesn't have to be outside of Oakland, California, right here at C Street and Euclid stealing my property. Eric is vicariously acting as an entity whom he never had a right and should have never been engaged in gang stalking me in the first place. You don't have a defense. You're going to federal prison for the criminal conspiracy that you originally engaged in. And it doesn't stop when they're stealing property and you don't want to go to federal prison for that, but you are. You're going to federal prison for it. It is currently 7:55 a.m. This is an entity that's stealing evidence as well. That's what you're recognizing. This is what's going on when they're kidnapping. That same department engaging what is stealing evidence. All right? Engaging in what is meddling with my devices that they are keeping under surveillance. And all the while, I just want to be clear. Context is always important. Not only is this evidence surrounding them, this is based on this is a concession that the demons lost. And by the way, these are the intellectually impotent with a very much lower level intelligent quotient. They lost a long time ago. In fact, I even told them that they lost. The reason why there are no secrets is because of the nature of the system. It's demonic. This is spiritual warfare. But it's a war that the demon-possessed already lost. You're delusional in thinking that you're going to compete with Christ Jesus, that you're going to overpower him with some sort of sex ritual, that some demon in hell is going to contend with Christ Jesus. You're delusional. You are delusional. And your judgment is so severe, you're going to feel it in the physical. You're going to feel it physically. You're going to be prosecuted. And that includes necessarily, based on the ongoing system of a population of demons that think that they can secretly target someone, murder them with no hands, i.e. witchcraft, stalk them, psychologically torture them, i.e. the demonic system, the witchcraft that is gang stalking, doing it with no hands. All right, broken down that whole system. This is you witnessing what is judgment in the physical, and it's also going to occur in a court. And everything that was stolen from me, any level of conduct, but including they're stealing my property which is relevant to evidence. And they're doing that because there are demons who are very much hostile to not just the fact that they lost, but how badly they lost. Okay? And that is, by the way, triumphant victory that is handed over only in Christ Jesus, only. There is no other God beside him. There is no other God that exists. Okay? And that is only given through him. the true and living God. His name is Christ Jesus. So I want to be clear on that. These are sore losers who by name are going to federal prison for what the gang stalkers are still engaging in against me, because you never should have been targeting in the first place. And this goes back to the federal government. You're not going to remove Thomas Garza from the ongoing pattern of conduct. You're not going to remove Lisa Rogan from the ongoing pattern of conduct. These are the demons that started at the outset with criminal defamation, started at the outset with evasion of service of process. When I wasn't able to bring my civil suit against the state that refused to serve the process, because they wanted to make sure that they accomplish this sacrifice, where you're looking at the Ontario International Airport stalking with all manner of devices of the whole city. That's how centered, that's how key, that's how important I am. It's as informative as the fake sun. I am the center of their fake universe, and that's why they're using things as a whole police department, fire department, and an airport. Airlines, do you know how much multi-million-dollar airlines are stalking me? That's how key I am. That's how central I am. That's relevant to the criminal conduct. That's how invested in murder this entity is. That's how far-reaching and extensive and elaborate this criminal system that I've exposed is. All right, and that's how much of control over the circumstances and the physical that this corrupt government maintains when they murder people. Okay, they have people in every area, and they are all lying together. What you need to know that as they are engaged in this corrupt system, there are demons that are together operating in sync. Okay, they jump on a lie together, and they don't have to have a meeting about it. These are demons. They're spiritual in the spirit. Okay, they're on the same accord. That's what you're looking at operating this corrupt system of gang stalking, and went about stealing my property today. And the reason why they stole my property is because I'm telling you the truth about everything that I state. And they're hostile. They're mad because I know what they're doing when they're parked a mile and a half away from me and their headlights are aimed toward me. They're mad. They're supposed to make me paint me as a crazy person. They are mad, enraged. You understand how enraged they are, because I see them in the spirit, and I also see them physically and having the skill set to prosecute it. That's what stole my property today, and you're going to federal prison for it. All right?
All right, this is the entity that just stole my laptop, stole evidence, and gang stalking with the demons on C Street in Euclid. While I'm capturing them gang stalking going into the parking garage, they're monitoring on YouTube. This is the entity that stole specifically because they are being exposed on the internet. This is the entity that's stalking into the fake sun. This is OVITT Family Community Library, and the fake sun is still here. 11 hours later, where the Ontario police are openly exposing to you the entity that stole my property with the means to oppress while they're engaging to murder, gang stalking as a corrupt police department. Those demons whose license plate I read on the opposite side of the same street at Euclid Avenue and C Street, at what is C Street in Laurel, the African-American that's driving the black truck, the Casablanca, the third party inside of that maroon vehicle, they're going to federal prison. The entity is going to federal prison for gang stalking in those police department vehicles. They're doing so under the fake sun that you know is still here after 6 p.m., where this department is engaging what is monitoring, and they're currently monitoring what is the podcast that's being uploaded onto the internet right now. I'm processing it, and this is the conduct of criminals that are monitoring with the police, pacing all around you under a fake sun. He was doing so at Economy Inn as well. Okay, this is the sex offender, and that's the entity that's engaging in criminal conduct. This is what Jason Fields and Tracy Banks engage in kidnapping with. This is what's compensating the gang stalking, the surveillance by the Ontario police, and this is what's remaining over the OVITT Family Community Library, the fake sun, specific monitoring my devices and also stealing my property while I'm documenting them. See, Hazelwood and in a federal prison. This is gang stalking, while the people of the state are the guys regarding criminal surveillance. Those demons are monitoring, and this is an act of desperation. They would rather a video be slowed down because it's still going on the internet, and so they'll engage in stalking in helicopter, for which the people of the state and the entities going to federal prison. But that's what they're focused on, and that's why they're gang stalking. License 7J. That's license 7JSN927, Impulsive Light inside of that parking garage. That's a demon that's stalking with the demon in the Ontario Police Department helicopter. And this is the entity that engages in theft of my property. This is P.O.C. It's currently it's 8:10 a.m. The demons that are gang stalking in the end of June at 1:07 p.m. at this same library, they're gang stalking as I come in from Starbucks. They're going to federal prison. The demon that's gang stalking at 6:20 p.m. at the Ontario Town Square, he's gang stalking. I capture video under this fake sun. He's going to federal prison. The demon that's driving the Ontario Police Department vehicle on what is this same street, C Street, where the fake sun is over me at 407, he's going to federal prison. The demon that's monitoring my vagina as I walk outside of the OVITT Family Community Library at 6:22 p.m., he's on video coming out of the venue, monitoring under the fake sun. He's going to federal prison. The demons that I'm documenting, gang stalking Corey Watson and his partner under this fake sun, that's still here at the end of the day. I documented them gang stalking in the parking lot. They're going to federal prison. On this same street, they're going to federal prison for stealing my property.
That's not an act committed by a stranger. The demons that are monitoring and engaging what is proving that they're stalking and monitoring me because of one video that's uploading on the internet. They're going to federal prison, and the demons are going to also produce the identity of the terrorists that are using helicopter, and the demons under the fake sun, they're going to federal prison as I document them. This is P.O.C. This is Title 18 federal stalking. While they're monitoring what is my device, I'm processing the podcast, and I'm also uploading video, specifically the video of the kidnaps of the gang stalking that is happening at 6:59 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, first of all, Sparklets is here monitoring, like I captured them monitoring yesterday, so is Allied Universal. These are all demons engaging in what is very heavy-duty Title 18 federal stalking. This is all light activity, crossing a path. Allied Universal is a very heavily documented gang stalker, and Sparklets is monitoring with them. They're all focused on the video captured at 6:59 a.m., 9 LVR 315. That's Allied Universal demonic pacing with Sparklets, and doing so under the fake sun. This is what the Ontario Police Department are doing by helicopter while the demons are pacing around. And the helicopter activity is specifically relevant to what you'll see a screenshot of. This is monitoring that Sparklets is engaging in, that Allied Universal is engaging in, that the people of the state, that demon that drove into the parking garage on video, impossible light moving all across on the inside, while that demon, that third party, that terrorist that's conspiring my murder, that's stalking me with the police department, that's obsessively monitoring one video. One video that is uploaded, you'll see the screenshot, in one window, Chrome window, I uploaded it, and it uploaded very quickly. And then you'll see as I open up another window, because there's something tricky going on, the entity's trying to slow down the internet, and it actually rapidly uploaded, and I open up another YouTube which should show what is already an uploaded video as well. It should show the same information, but you will see the absence of the video being uploaded, but you'll look at the actual completion of the upload when I open up another Chrome window showing the same website. Okay, this is the entity that's monitoring. This is when the Ontario Police Department, as I'm opening up that's this window, and these demons are pacing, license 9M FR 860. These are demons driving into 320 North Euclid Avenue. They're all monitoring. You know that the parking garage is the venue where you see engineer light all over the ceiling inside of there. Those are stalkers. Those are all demons. The entire apartment complex is gang stalking. The entities engaging in this while the Ontario police immediately fly over in helicopter. And this is, they put precedent over stalking and monitoring the evidence. This is why Jason Etzfield is going to federal prison. This is why the federal government is being prosecuted, because they are engaging with that ongoing criminal act, which you are all aware of. So it's not they're not mysteriously or secretly even engaging in it. And they are still engaging in what is prioritizing, monitoring, trying to stop a video that's going on the internet while I'm capturing the evidence of them monitoring that video being uploaded, i.e. federal stalking, criminal surveillance, and furtherance of murder, while it is I'm capturing the significance of what it is that they're monitoring. So this is what you're understanding and making that connection to. What's going on my device is directly tailored to the helicopter that's flying over my head while that fake sun is over my head and the people of the state are driving all around. This is the coexisting impossible light, movement in that engineer light, audible noise happening in that environment under that fake sun and the engineer light, and it's the government that's engaging in that terrorism, that's engaging in what is monitoring my internet activity through the most threatening means, stalking to a police department. Who is documented? They are the substance of that video documentation while they're threatening and monitoring me. And this is what the federal government is engaging in. License, this is City of Ontario, license 1624445, impossible light while this demon's driving in a circle. All right, demonic pacing, doing so in the same City of Ontario. This is the second time he's, yo, I'm taking pictures right now. He already drove around once. He's just pacing all around, stalking, and this is what the entity was doing by helicopter as well. The purpose is monitoring, not just stalking and, oh my gosh, I'm scared because the police are stalking me in a helicopter. Yes, the physical crime. But understand, these are demons. This is witchcraft. So you don't understand the significance of them making noise and being present under that fake sun that's over me and in that engineer light. This is spiritually significant. It's relevant to their mental illness. It's also relevant to the ongoing desperation that they exhibit. You're that desperate that you'll put yourself in federal prison to monitor somebody and stalk somebody openly. She's capturing video of it, and that's how desperate you are to keep doing it. That's relevant for the diagnosis. This is what the entity is doing. This is spiritually significant, and it's also significant with regard to understanding monitoring. Monitoring on your devices, on the internet. You will see the screenshot that is showing what is relevant to monitoring by the Ontario Police, by the people of the state. One video shows the video is uploaded, it's complete, but it's showing when I open up another video, because it's complete, but it won't let me close it without deleting it. So I open up another video to show that it is like, it's like a superficial status, because it's downloaded, but it's uploaded. But it's not uploaded because I'm opening up in another window. This is the moment that I engage in opening up another window, because I'm always maneuvering around the monitoring tactics of the demons. Immediately, the entity arrives in helicopter to engage in a monitoring conduct. And by the way, they were monitoring the whole time while the African American, like I stated in the video, this is the entity that went behind and stole my property because they're mad as I captured that video. And then when I published that video, this is the entity that engages in more gang stalking by helicopter. And the fact that you know that it's me specifically because the fake sun is still here over me while they're monitoring my vagina in the bathroom. All right, and these are the demons that are looking stupid and criminally summoning this same police department when you're documenting them because they want to monitor your vagina. That's why Sean Thrasher and these demons are going to federal prison at the OVITT Family Community Library. They're psychopaths operating in a whole delusion, an entirely alternate universe. Because I, one person, refuse to conform to this. This is a whole work of Satan. It has nothing to do with the actual law and constitution. So you're going to bully me? You call yourself, this is supposed to be some bullying system? No, I'm bullying them with evidence. And these demons they are shown to be obsessed. They're shown to be mentally ill. They're shown to be criminals who are stalking, who are sex offenders. That's what happens when I bully them, when demons thought that they were going to bully me. All you did was steal my property and you're going to prison for it. All you did was prove that you're stalking me and you're going to prison for it because you're not an ordinary stalker. First of all, you're a demon-possessed, mentally ill one that represents a whole entity that you're acting on behalf of with the government that provides evidence against you, the government that I'm also going to prosecute directly. Okay? You're going to federal prison for that. That's the prize. That's what's so desperate with regard to stalking in a helicopter because I'm uploading the video documentation. That's what's relevant behind what I'm showing you. Driving at that turn circle at 8 o'clock in the morning, this is what you're seeing when I walk to that entrance at 10 o'clock and they're driving in the turn circle. This is spiritually significant. These are demons that are engaging in rituals. This is the ritualistic conduct. This is witchcraft they're doing. And this witchcraft is, again, in furtherance conspiracy to murder. And they're monitoring. They're affecting your devices while they're doing so. This is federal stalking that you're looking at. They're engaging in Title 18, federal stalking right in front of your face. They're physically engaging in it. They're spiritually engaging in what is witchcraft. And it's relevant to, you're going to prosecute psychological torture, stalking, all right? Public corruption. The government is stalking. The government is stalking in an unprecedented manner, an unheard of manner, a manner that is so demented, I had to break it down so that you can understand what the mentally ill population is doing that seeks to project mental illness onto that targeted individual. And that's also relevant to justice that's required because of the government's malice. The psychopath that is stalking me in a helicopter and then tries to criminally defame my character as though I'm some mentally ill person. You're going to prison for that. All right, it's P.O.C. It's currently 8:19 a.m. That video is going to be added to the podcast as well. This is P.O.C. Okay, additional relevant context. I've already stated the purpose, the objective of stealing from somebody that is supposedly being gang stalked and falsely depicted as mentally ill and who is homeless. The reason why you steal from a homeless person is because that person is overwhelming you with evidence and you're scared to death. Okay, but they're not scared enough because you're listening to the entity stalking by helicopter. So that ongoing duality of the facts, the entity is both stealing property and also still gang stalking. That's criminal conduct committed with the intent to obstruct justice while they're still acting in furtherance of that conspiracy to commit murder. That's why the Ontario police are obviously gang stalking under that fake sun while I'm uploading evidence, and I'm also experiencing monitoring on my device regarding damning evidence against a gang stalking police department and demons where light manifests in the shade, where a fake sun follows me down the street, the same street where it's also setting. I want to be clear, obstruction of justice includes what the entity is also interested in, stealing my property, evidence. Remember, I'm publishing 2022. The entity is going to federal prison for stealing evidence. It's no small thing the way in which I am engaging in an investigation and I am single-handedly conducting and exposing this investigation. It's relevant to what is a federal offense regarding the unlawful intrusion in any federal case, in interference and seeking to obstruct justice in any federal case, and the government is also stealing my property today based upon the evidence that's to be published. License 7E52060. This is an old geezer. He's on the corner of Death and doing so while stalking me with the Ontario Police. 7E52600 can barely hold 7E52060 can barely hold his eyes open. Okay, and he is a demon. He looks like death too. He's gang stalking at 240 North Euclid Avenue at the Wells Fargo in the parking lot. This demon is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and the entity is doing so. That's, again, the same gang stalking. They stole my property with regard to oppressing the federal investigator that is single-handedly handling this while the federal government is sitting back and watching and hoping that witchcraft will kick in, hoping that the target individual will somehow just turn into a criminal, get so desperate that I'll just turn into a criminal and do something that will give the same gang stalking entity authority coming out of nowhere. It doesn't exist whether you commit a crime or not. This is exposing the impropriety of the government that's engaged in surveillance in the first place. The ongoing masquerade of terrorists that are wearing police uniforms, keeping everybody under surveillance, and then having a whole secret system in existence. Meaning they're actually appearing as though and trying to conduct themselves as though there's a constitution and there's a government that's maintaining what is constitutional authority. No, they're engaging what is maintaining their own system of control. Based on what the government has. So you can get out of this crime, but you're going to engage in what is, they can get out of it by engaging in some criminal act with this entity. This is relevant to the context of this corrupt system, where the police are criminals with the people of the state. So that's relevant to that. And it's operating outside of what we are told and conditioned. Even me, as a practicing attorney, as an officer of the court, being exposed to this corrupt system that doesn't operate in the way in which I studied it and I understand it, both in undergrad as a political science major and also as a law school student. Studying the law, okay? Becoming a doctor of the law in order to engage in what is having the authority, which is a very precious and important responsibility, to substantially alter the liberty rights, all right, of another person. That's a responsibility. This entity abuses that, and the system doesn't operate in the way in which we're trained in school to think that it operates. The gang stalking system is exposing that. So I want to be clear, when in 2022, what I'm documenting, what I'm publishing online, understand the entity is also very fearful. Chino police are gang stalking. You're going to see the Fontana Police Department. It's still going on the internet. These demons that are documented, and the entity is stealing property. Understand everybody's penalties, prosecution is relevant to what they sought to avoid. Everyone. The multiple police departments gang stalking, they are interested in that same result, stealing my evidence, stealing my laptop that has everything that I'm publishing on the internet, and stealing my computer, while the Ontario police are flying over stalking because I'm uploading a video of them gang stalking. Understand that all of the demons, who by the way went out of their way to gang stalk at Hope and Euclid, where the demons are stalking right now, the Ontario Fire Department, at that intersection where the fake sun is still present at 6:30 p.m. on video, they're engaging in that P.O.C. with Chino police who are interested in that criminal act of obstruction, and it's relevant to the prosecution of that terrorist organization, not engaged in law enforcement. That's why they came in Ontario under the fake sun at that intersection, gang stalking me on Friday. Okay, they are very much aware and very much frightened. Stealing my property is an act of desperation, and that's relevant. Understand how detailed and how thorough the prosecution is based on the criminal system and the elaborate federal repercussions, because the entity is engaged in what are they're thinking about the fact of more evidence coming out about more and more police departments when they sought to avoid that. I'm not even supposed to, based on what Satan planned, I'm not even supposed to be alive, but that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. And the entity stole my property with regard to intent to obstruct justice regarding the Chino Police Department, the city of Chino, the Omnitrans, that they're gang stalking me, the Los Angeles Police Department, the Los Angeles County Fire Department, the city of Pomona, the gang stalking entity that's targeting me while I'm on Omnitrans going to different cities, and the entity is maintaining the fake sun. And then you are in real time mindful of what I'm documenting on a day-to-day basis. The city of Ontario, Brightview, a bunch of demons, Southwest Airlines, the airport, the fire department, the police department, under a fake sun that's remaining over Euclid Avenue over me all day. And the 2002 documentation shows I'm going to different cities, including Chino, including Rancho Cucamonga, including Fontana, and the entity's keeping that fake sun. In 2022, the entity's engaging in what is kidnapping in July of 2022. Okay? The Ontario Police Department that are still gang stalking today, they're being disbanded. And their criminal conduct is relevant to what is conducted as an entity. The corrupt terrorist organizations that came to Hope Boulevard and Euclid Avenue, by the way, on Friday. Rancho Cucamonga Police, that's San Bernardino County Sheriff. Chino Police Department, the Upland Police Department, they engaged in kidnapping. This is documented in 2022, which is to be uploaded. Understand their intention and their interest, because they are very much frightened about it being put on the internet. Okay, so stealing my laptop is supposed to stifle that, it's supposed to stop that. It's a criminal act of obstruction of justice, never mind the impotence of the entity, because you're going to prosecute. The ordinary targeted individual is what we're considering. Okay, I'm going to prosecute based on that. And this is how you're going to prosecute a corrupt government, not just based on the immediate circumstances. They're acting as an entity. So the entity could be trying to protect any random demon that you might not on the surface be mindful of. But this is why you're analyzing and prosecuting, because everybody whose interests are served by that criminal act of obstruction and oppression, that's the entity that's going to be prosecuted accordingly. That's why you're engaged in obstruction as an entity. Everybody is being prosecuted for it, including the Chino police, including the Fontana established gang stalkers. Okay, that's P.O.C. It's currently, I just want to make sure that that's clear. It's currently 8:36 a.m. The entity stealing my laptop with regard to 2022 documentation that they are very much fearful of. very much fearful. It's already been published, but the entity, remember, when I published it before in 2022, the entity fully anticipated in my death. So it's 2025. All of this is something that their so-called sorcery, their so-called divination, their tarot cards didn't tell them that this was coming. They didn't see that in the energy. Okay, Source didn't tell them anything about that. All right, their little sex rituals and the demons that they summon, they didn't give them any information about the fact that your witchcraft isn't going to work. They didn't tell them that, but they were warned because the Holy Spirit told them. I told them I'm going to prosecute you. I told you you're going to federal prison. I told you that you're being disbanded. I told you that you're going to a mental asylum. You know, all of you who know who you are. And a lot of times I put it on the internet because it was a public warning. In the same way that they like to engage in public executions, that's what gang stalking is. Psychopaths, you need to understand, mental illness is not that which you're conditioned to accept where demons are practicing medicine. This is mental illness that is, again, rampant because the demon possessed or psychopaths engaged in this targeting system, they are together sharing in what is bullying one person, psychologically torturing them. They derive pleasure from it. While they are outwardly engaging in this corrupt system, wanting to appear as normalcy, everybody minding their business, they are torturing, stalking, monitoring, sexually violating, traumatizing a person together. They derive pleasure from it. They sacrifice them. They sacrifice, and they do it publicly. That's what, by publicly, I mean they're doing it before everyone. They're all doing it together. They are all demons. Okay, it's currently 8:37 a.m. I want to give that context. This is P.O.C. relevant to obstruction of justice, and I'm going to prosecute based on the criminal defendants that you witnessed as I published 2022. These are the demons. This is the entity that is engaging in obstruction of justice through these lower life sex offenders monitoring my vagina all day long and then stealing my laptop because they're stealing my property and including evidence, the laptop, because of the fear regarding everything that I speak. That's letting you know also, which I don't need it. I don't need it. The Lord is my defense. Okay, the truth speaks for itself as well. The evidence speaks for itself, but I will go ahead and give you some further context. The evidence that they seek to steal, the entity that's oppressing me, a homeless person that's supposed to be lesser than them, it's letting you know that's more evidence regarding the truth that I'm speaking to you. That's more evidence. Just so that you know, they're letting you know that I am speaking the absolute 1,000% truth about everything that I'm exposing to you. It is currently 8:38 a.m. This is
City of Ontario stalking, flying over my head, and this is by helicopter. And this is what they do because I'm about to publish their gang stalking and their theft of my personal property. I'm about to post it on X, and this is what they were doing when I was posting the podcast or publishing the podcast on YouTube, flying over my head while I was over there, and the fake son was over there. Here's the fake son here. This is what the entity is doing. Remember who's going to federal prison, because that was an entity that stole my property, not some random bum. That was a bum, but that's the entity, and they're going to prison for theft and gang stalking and furtherance of murder. And the demons are engaging in criminal conduct in anticipation of published evidence, and this is ongoing confirmation of that. Also, it's recognizing demon possession. This is where the fake son is. This is where the entity is engaging in surveillance, and this is what those two demons in the Ontario Police Department vehicles were doing. And they're going to federal prison for it. This is what C. Hazelwood and Owens were doing, gang stalking and engineer light. Flashing me with light that's not even naturally occurring. Those are demons stalking, and then engaging what is denying it. And the entity is engaging what is ongoing stalking in the most obvious manner, helicopter, pursuant to what's not stopping the documentation being published on the internet. This is why federal actors like Jason Isaac Fields soliciting this ongoing terrorism and furtherance of committing a murder while they've already engaged in what is stealing my property. Police, they're stalking me because I've already been subject to the criminal conduct by the government that sought to secretly do away with me. And the entity, in a manner that they didn't expect, is now being exposed, and this is why they're going to federal prison, and that's why they're being disbanded. This is P.O.C. Remember, the fake son's still here. You saw that on August 17, 2025, where Southwest Airlines is engaging in the same criminal pattern of conduct in the sky space at 6:50 p.m. This is P.O.C. I just want to show you the entity is engaging in the demonic pacing. This is the mentally ill who are engaging in this, and this is while they know that they're being documented and published on the internet. And this is why the entity conspired my murder to do it in secret. And this is why Tracy Banks is going to federal prison. She engaged in kidnapping with the intent to criminally defame while she's been maintaining a secret conservatorship, and doing so with Jason Isaac Fields, who's been defaming my character, the court, the government, that is not engaging in investigating the Ontario police. The Ontario police are gang stalking me while the federal government is targeting me with them, and they're engaged in ongoing circling. This is the demonic pattern of conduct, and it's also the outward demonstration of mental illness, doing so because I'm publishing on X. This is where the fake son is still present. And by the way, it's 9:55 a.m. right now. Excuse me, it's 9:58 a.m. The fake son is still at the Ontario Town Square. The fake son is still remaining over the OVITT Family Community Library. This is where the City of Ontario is gang stalking by planes in the same manner, maintaining flight over me, using planes over my head, all because of what it is I'm publishing online. Remember who's going to federal prison, because this is what I stated that they were doing the entire time, which is gang stalking. This is P.O.C. This is Mike Lorenz. C. Torres. L. Martinez, Alex Escobar, L. Edwards, the entity that is acting via C. Hazelwood, what is Owens, what is S. Patty, Jason Knighton, Lester Keys, A. Morris, what is the entity that's engaged in kidnapping over the years, that's engaging in that conduct with the intent to obstruct justice, kidnapping, while they're stalking the entire time. And this, I want to be clear, is also a satanic ritual, so that you know that this is also witchcraft, because I'm also informing the public while you're witnessing the federal government failing in a sacrifice, and it's exposing their criminal conduct, and it's going to inform federal law. They're going to federal prison. Those are kidnappers that I named that have been engaged in gang stalking and doing so with Tracy Banks. Nathan Morgan as well, he's going to federal prison. Nathan Morgan, B. Hook, L. Martinez, and C. Torres engaged in kidnapping on May 29, 2025 with Tracy Banks. Okay? There's no mental illness. There's never a prescription. These are the demons that made up information and then kidnapped me with the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, who are also gang stalking me while I'm maintaining an unlawful detention. They're engaged in unlawful detention while they were gang stalking me inside of that hospital, doing so with these demons that lied on paper to engage in a kidnapping under the Welfare and Institutions Code that they abuse while they're gang stalking. P.O.C. It is 9:59 a.m. This is context, because what I'm publishing on X is relevant to what the entity is doing. These are psychopaths. These are the ones that are gang stalking. While the entities engage in that, they're all engaged in monitoring together. Traffic. These are the demons, are all under the fake sun. So you understand, they're not ignorant. This is what the entity is doing at all times. The helicopter activity gives you context regarding the psychopaths that surround, that are engaging in gang stalking. When you take their picture, when you get their license plate, they look weird like, huh? What's happening? What are you talking about? That's a demon. This is what the Ontario Police Department rely on, remaining present. That's stalking in the path while the fake sun remains. That's P.O.C. Jason has the fields with Tracy Banks are going to federal prison. I just want to show you what's ongoing. I posted on X right now at what is 10:03 a.m. The entity is maintaining ongoing psychopathic pacing. While the demon possessed, this is an outward demonstration, first of all, is what is satanic. This is demonic activity. Second of all, it's you're going to prosecute based on what is mental illness. You're going to prosecute based on the mentally ill, the demented conduct. The people, the state are pacing under a fake sun, and the entity is pacing. This is a show of hostility based on what it is that I'm documenting. And they're doing it under the fake sun that you know anywhere. That's how I'm able to capture. And the video evidence that I just published on the internet about gang stalking right here at 6:59 a.m. and gang stalking again by the same city of Ontario over my head while I'm over there, and the fake sun's over there, where it's going to go when I go to the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library, over there. The entity license 9GYN510. The entity is maintaining ongoing circular pacing above me. This is demonic. This is psychopathic. It's also an act of criminal psychological torture, and also a criminal act with the intent to threaten and harass and terrorize based on the evidence that I just published after they stole my property, after I'm still publishing it on the internet, and the entity is engaging in what is documented terrorism while they are keeping under surveillance the documentation that's going to prosecute them as well. The entity engages in psychopathic pacing. That's what this is. It's a show of aggression by a demon. They're going to be placed in mental asylums, and they're going to federal prison. This is relevant for what is placement in a mental asylum. This is P.O.C., and you're talking about it's 10:04 a.m., so this is ongoing pacing. P.O.C. That's a demon that's gang stalking. They're all under the fake sun monitoring me together. That's what Southwest Airlines, American Airlines, Amazon Prime, United Airlines, that's the criminal conduct that they're engaging in, using commercial planes and focusing on where I'm at and what I'm doing on this phone. What's published on YouTube is relevant evidence, federal stalking. What's published on X, that's relevant. The entity is doing all manner of surveillance in the sky space, while the Ontario police are the guise of amplified audible activity, and this is a demonic ritual that they're engaged in, a show of aggression. Satan has been defeated. Satan is a spirit that's also inspiring and causing the mental illness that is outwardly demonstrated through what is documented criminal conduct. The disbanding of the Ontario police is going to be the result, and the people of the state are going to federal prison. This entity engaged in what is stealing evidence today, they're going to federal prison. Every license plate that I documented, they're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It's 10:05 a.m. Here's the fake sun. P.O.C. 224 North Euclid Avenue. I just want to make sure I show you what is the entity that's still circling around me. I just want I want you to witness the duration of time. I want you to witness the ongoing intentional threat behind that. And this is what the entity's been doing for years. And this is the same entity that wants to, at another moment in time, feign ignorance when you're documenting them by license plate, when you're documenting them inside of the library, when they're stalking in the bathroom, because that's what they're doing. And they're openly showing what is mental illness that was intended to remain closeted. They're openly showing hostility, the intent to murder, while you're gang stalking someone that is exposing it by doing so by helicopter. When you're a maniacal psychopath that's doing so in an entirely demonic environment, the supernatural, a fake sun, and doing it for the prolonged period. It's 10:14 a.m. This is over 15 minutes of flying in circles around me, and this is while the demons are monitoring. Okay, that's the demon with the headphones on. He engaged in kidnapping on June 16, 2022. That's relevant to federal prison while the entity stole evidence today. Okay, that's the same he's monitoring right now, just like he was when he engaged in kidnapping by monitoring at the OVITT Family Community Library, June 16, 2022. That's federal prison. The entity stole evidence seeking to protect demons like this who are engaged in ongoing terrorism right now. That's P.O.C. Okay, the bald spot, remember, that's a landmark with regard to the entity that's gang stalking. He's engaged in stalking in 2022 following to Fontana, gang stalking at the OVIT, where the fake sun is remaining at 10:29 a.m. and the entity is at over 15 minutes flying in circles around me, while all the entity is hostile because of what it is that I'm publishing on the internet. And this is what the federal government is going to be prosecuted for. Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks, say it with me, because they're going to federal prison. This isn't stopping it, and this is why they're going to prison, because this is what they were doing the entire time, trying to defame me in order to steal my money and my property, and did so through a corrupt government system that I have now exposed. And now that the entity is merely hostile and provides what is evidence, open evidence, no mystery, of who's been targeting the entire time. Okay, that's P.O.C. Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison. The federal government's not investigating this; they're facilitating and enabling it. P.O.C. 10:16 a.m. That's the Ontario Police stalking by helicopter, just like I captured at 8 o'clock while I'm publishing the video that the entity was then seeking to obstruct from being published. This is the same criminal conduct that the demons whose license plate I read while they're driving around the turn circle, that's pacing under a fake sun that's still there after 6 p.m., which is what you'll clearly see in the video evidence that's related to the content regarding stalking by the Ontario Police Department this morning. And the Ontario Police fly over my head at 8 o'clock. They again fly over my head starting at approximately 9:55 a.m. while I publish onto the internet, onto YouTube, the video evidence and all of that legal analysis, and the demons are following me as I walk toward the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library. This is indeed P.O.C. That is C-Max that's gang stalking. The Ontario Police follow. There's no question. They're stalking me in helicopter, flying in circles around me, because that's where they were flying over there when I was sitting by the clock. The fake sun's not over there anymore either. They are stalking, flying in circles around me while the fake sun is moving as I move. That's the OVITT Family Community Library that committed kidnapping. An act of hostility, they engage in kidnapping while they're stalking, and you prove that, and the psychopath comes out, okay? It's triggered, and the entity lacks self-control, and that's the federal government's criminal conduct. 8 HDF 458 is stalking with the possible light, stalking with the Ontario Police every day, like I'm documenting. That's P.O.C. following as I go. So does the fake sun, and it's still after 6 p.m., where that department is engaged in gang stalking. P.O.C. These are psychopaths that seek public corruption that they're engaged in. Psychopaths that are stalking in furtherance of murder, doing so while a fake sun remains over this venue, and a bunch of demons are stalking with noise. As I'm documenting inside of the venue, they're stalking in the bathroom, monitoring my vagina, and the entity is stalking in a helicopter. This is documented terrorism and psychological torture with the intent to obstruct justice while they're engaged in federal stalking under Title 18, Section 226, 186, Section 102. And this is solicited by a psychopath. Her name is Tracy Banks. She's a witch. She's a Jezebel spirit in particular, and she's had sex with many of those of the Ontario Police. Recruiting, the demons are engaged in criminal conduct. Their sex life is legally relevant. That's why I'm referring to it. Tracy Banks has solicited my death while the Ontario Police is gang stalking and being compensated. Demons like 1UA 398, stalking as a population. Stalking as a population. That's why it's still here after 3 p.m. That's an entity that's stalking with the Ontario Police. Now you're just looking at the Ontario Police engaging it because they are triggered by what I just put on the internet. And I'm going to put all of it on the internet. And the entity that stole my property did so with specific knowledge with the intent to obstruct justice. This is federal prison, mandatory federal prison. Jason Isaac Fields sitting back watching the case being made around him. He's going to federal prison, and there is no investigation that's going to supersede my evidence. He's going to prison. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:18 a.m. Tracy Banks is going to federal prison. Look at the video on May 29, 2025. Those are the demons that are gang stalking with her and getting kidnapping. And she and they are going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. at 215 U.C. Street, where the fake sun is still present as I walk out in the evening, and everybody inside of the venue is gang stalking. This is a demon, not an innocent person. That's a demon, a psychopath, okay? It's a spirit, all right? Engaging in stalking with audible activity with a smile on your face, stalking with light while you drive by, P.O.C. These are the kidnappers that are going to prison. That is, again, by the way, 10:19 a.m.
This is the engineer light, where they're stalking with light, and it remains as I'm documenting, where they're manning the path of the bathroom, where they're stalking at the path. They're all walking in an engineer light. These are demons. And the demons of the Ontario Police are flying in circles. The demons of the Ontario International Airport are pacing in planes. And these are demons that are all monitoring, and they're all hostile. It's a spiritual condition, but I brought that to the physical, prosecuting, and the entity is triggered. These are demons that are psychopaths, and that's why you have 20 minutes of stalking in a helicopter. And then it's evidence that's going to sit on the record when they want to sit in court with a straight face and a smile, trying to deny that they were ever conspiring my murder. All right, this is the entity that stole my property this morning because they thought that that was going to stop me. The entity's been engaged in oppression. That's the same department that stole my car, that stole everything inside of that car, that engaged in fictitious prosecutions with the intent to kidnap Lisa Rogan, Thomas Garza. The entity that's engaged in the criminal acts in the side of the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, that engaged in what is kidnapping pursuant to the kidnappings committed by the Ontario Police Department at this OVITT Family Community Library, at what is the Economy Inn, at Woodside Senior Apartments, at what is the venue of the 7-Eleven where Jason Knighton and Lester Keys engaged in kidnapping. All right, this is the entity that's engaged in that criminal conduct, and nothing that they are a part of regarding targeting me is legitimate either. That's prosecuting the court, the sheriff that's engaged in gang stalking as well. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:21 a.m. This is crossing a path with the police that are monitoring with the people that stayed inside of the venue on communication devices in the bathroom in violation of federal stalking statute, Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2, and there's no privacy here. Your employment is an admission to criminal presence. This is public corruption. And it's also exposing at the same time demon possession. These are demons that are engaged in this corrupt system, which is not intelligent, and it's also not a secret. She's walking around with multiple shadows. She's systematically monitoring all of them. This is P.O.C. It is, again, 10:21 a.m. All right, documenting what I've kept. You're hearing me capture video. This is the entity that engaged in theft of property. So let me go ahead and remind you about who is going to prison for theft of property upon what I've already been documenting, which is the pattern of conduct of gang stalking in concert with a corrupt police department. So all they did was engage in theft of evidence and engaged in what is theft. They can still, like I stated, 52 cents. It's committed with the intent to oppress. That is done with committed with the intent to obstruct justice. And this is the entity that's engaging in that. And it includes the demons that are going to federal prison for theft as an entity. The demon that's stalking in a helicopter is responsible for the theft that the entity engaged in together while they are targeting me, and I'm documenting it, and they steal my property. This is, again, Ontario Police State Actor, license plate 1706919, vehicle 1129. They're going to federal prison for obstruction of justice. They're also going to federal prison for engaging in state surveillance while masquerading, maliciously acting as a police department, as a police officer, engaged in the lawful duties of an officer, and they're doing so in conspiracy, in furtherance of a conspiracy to murder. They're also targeting with the intent to obstruct justice as I publish the evidence that they are aware of is being captured, and not because they're looking at me and not because I'm holding up a camera down the street, because they're demons and they're engaging in surveillance, including while I capture them in my path this morning at 6:59 a.m. License 1675813, vehicle 1061. They're going to federal prison. They're going to federal prison also for theft of my property that was committed with the intent to obstruct justice. The people of the state that are going to federal prison, license 8RVE706. You will see this demon stalking me. That's a signature of somebody that is targeting and not just driving by ignorant about who you are. The fake sun is also evidence of what is not ignorantly just being by you and around you, not knowing who you are. The impossibility of what is the supernatural act, in other words, the engineer light that's streaming backwards behind this demon, driving 8RVE706, is evidence of him monitoring me with the police, federal prison, with impunity, federal prison. And as I document him, the police are engaging in stalking for over 20 minutes using a helicopter while all of the demons are together engaging in that public means of what is targeting. While they all look to the left and right, you're looking at the population of mentally ill. That's the special needs conduct. All right. This is the end. He's going to federal prison. All right. He's on video, gang stalking. He's going to federal prison for what I'm documenting right now. 6JIW317. License 96081A3, 9HDW682, 8ERU509, and 9RYY367. They are all documented on video that is captured today at 6:59 a.m. At 303 North Euclid Avenue. This is the location identified as VOZ Church, VOZ Church, where the Ontario Police Department is captured as the videos related, as you look at it on YouTube, showing you what is an entire illusion with regard to the entity that relies on illusions to stalk an American citizen that's supposed to be ignorant, and the entity is supposed to be able to accomplish criminally defaming the character of the one whom they are obsessed with, the one whom they are stalking stalking and the one whom they are terrorizing and psychologically torturing in order to murder them and kidnap them. And that's what's relevant regarding the Ontario police stalking in a helicopter flying in circles around me, following as I leave that Ontario Town Square location, and that fake sun remains over me as I leave that location, and so does the helicopter that begins circling above me as I walk to a different location outside. That is again, you already know that because of the fake sun documentation and the pattern that the Ontario police already have, but I can literally show you. Let me move and watch the demon that's flying in a circle over my head, fly in a circle where I move to. And the entity is not, by the way, seeking to engage in any surreptitious means of targeting me. This is why the federal government, including Jason Isaac Fields, is going to federal prison. This is a demon, I want to be clear, who is also spiritually attacking me. So this is someone that is feigning engaging in an investigation, sitting back and is hostile while I document evidence that is going against his interests. Sitting back and the entity is not investigating while the Ontario police engage in that level of obvious criminal conduct fearlessly. While the federal government is not engaged in that investigation, he's going to federal prison. This is what he solicited with his sex partner, Tracy Banks, both conspiring fully to accomplish what is my murder. And the entity has failed in that. And this is where you see that mental illness that cannot hide. This is a spirit. That's where mental illness originates. And then you're seeing it act out in the physical behavior. It manifests, and it's incapable of controlling itself when I have this level of evidence. So you're looking at that mental illness that's always there, including while you see a sex offender, a demon at the entrance, smiling from ear to ear, saying hi, while she's monitoring with the Ontario police. She's manning the path. All right. And the demons are inside monitoring while they're walking about, holding hands with their kids, picking out books, sitting at the circulation desk, looking at the computer, engaging in stacking books on the shelf. They're all monitoring. All of them. And they're all sex offenders also monitoring in the bathroom. And this particular venue engaged in kidnapping on June 16, 2022. This is evidence that the entity seeks to obstruct from being published, especially by stealing my property today. And that's also why these third parties and state actors are going to federal prison. I want to make sure that this is directly relevant to my documentation that's being published online. And this is showing the entity that is targeting someone that's prosecuting, and you're understanding the demise of the ordinary target individual. They're already silenced because they're dead. They're silenced because they've been falsely depicted as mentally ill. So they're even already in a vegetable state. Because they've been drugged, kept against their will, and forced to have drugs put in their body when they resist, and they've been kidnapped by this entity, criminally defamed in doing so. It's a product of gang stalking, and or the entity has engaged in psychological torture, and the targeted individual ignorantly is conceding perhaps they do have some sort of mental illness, and they don't know that they're being spiritually attacked, and they also don't know that they're subject to a state system. And it is still a kidnapping when the entity is doing so unbeknownst to the targeted individual. You don't have consent to keep in a facility when you are targeting and psychologically torturing in order to cause that sort of targeting. This is P.O.C.
It's 10:31 a.m. Hello. I wanted to find out if you guys have any rooms available.
1 minute and I'll see what I've got, okay?
Okay. All right. This is monitoring with the Ontario police that are, again, flying in circles for over 20 minutes, going inside of the venue, just like I show you every day. You see the fake sun, you see the demons pacing at the turn circle. Impossible light activity flies inside, across the building, and inside the building. That's all manner of terrorism. The demons of the Ontario Police Department engage in what is the highest threat posed by a targeting entity stalking through a police department that uses what I've shown you as the hallmark in Southern California. LAPD stalking with helicopter. The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department stalking with helicopter under the fake sun. The Pasadena Police Department stalking with helicopter. The Chino Police Department stalking with helicopter. The Fontana Police Department stalking with helicopter. The entities in the Montclair Police stalking with helicopter, and that's what's happening in Ontario right now, based on also the level of evidence that's published online. This is called malice.
I do have, actually I just had somebody leave the study room, so I have an opening for you.
Is it for the full 2 hours or just for
It'll be for the full 2 hours, yeah.
Okay.
Can you look at your library card, please?
Sure.
Yep, that's the association with her appointment didn't show up, so she canceled, and now we have it available.
Okay. Thank you for your help, by the way. What's your name? Lindsay?
Yeah.
I'm giving you the wrong card. I was about to give you. That's funny.
I've got
You're like,
Costco cards, I've got
yeah.
life insurance.
You're like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Like
Here
a
you go.
debit card, like I just library card for ID.
That's funny.
And Erica, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. The fake sun confirms that.
Hours. Is it just yourself, or we have others?
It's just me. Do you have any disinfectant wipes I can use?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. Is this 2? Okay, that's
Yes.
The entity on the Ontario Wi-Fi is monitoring. It's federal stalking. Everybody in the library is keeping me under surveillance. These are psychopaths. And they're also sex offenders, monitoring my vagina. And they do so with a smile on their face. Necessarily, public corruption exists in plain sight. All right, you already know who I am. That's a psychopath asking questions. But again, it's public corruption, so you are always feigning ignorance. I don't know who you are. You're a stranger. The federal stalking conduct is what is uniting all of that, and it's also exposing, thank you, extreme malice. It's 10:35 a.m. And I am uploading onto X, that's Twitter, the video documentation because it's directly relevant to what's happening in real time. And this is after the entity went to the desperate extent, that was an act of desperation, to steal my property. And then the entity sat back, understand how the demons that are corrupt are thinking, oh, we steal her property, she won't be able to do anything now. And I still publish all that evidence. And you're going to pay attention to the specific charges. The theft of property, that's committed as an entity. The same entity that follows moments later with helicopter at the same time that I'm uploading evidence of that gang stalking conduct at 6:59 a.m. That entity that stole my property, that knows exactly who I am, that wasn't a random that stole my property. That was the entity that stole my property with an intent to oppress, all right? And it's relevant to evidence that they don't want published. It's not stopping publishing, obviously, but again, you're dealing with mental illness that you see clearly when they're stalking and pacing, flying in circles around me, following me around in helicopters. It's not what is a method of merely gang stalking. This is mental illness. You need to understand that that is the evidence of the lack of control, the unhinged character of the demon that is gang stalking me. Okay, and that's shared, including while the demons are maliciously targeting. So you're talking about gang stalking with the police when the police, you don't see them, you don't hear them, and you're only looking at Mickey that's opening the door and being so polite and smiling from ear to ear. And then you're given that context. I'm telling you the whole time they're stalking with the Ontario Police Department. I'm telling you they know exactly who I am. I'm telling you they're monitoring my vagina. I'm telling you they're tracking my steps as I walk through this library, knowing exactly where I'm at, knowing what I'm doing, including on the video, the internet, including on the devices. And they're monitoring everything. It's comprehensive surveillance, and it's all satanic as well. It's relevant to what is surveillance and obsession, not just keeping tabs on you. The demon-possessed are obsessed. This is a spirit, okay? The entity is engaged in this conduct and is doing so because of the inability to stop what it is that I'm publishing. And I want to be clear, the federal government is counting on this entity stopping. This is why Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison. Tracy Banks is going to federal prison. The federal government is holding back. And I want to be clear, there's not going to be any speech, oh, it was permitted because we know that you're an earth angel and you're called to be able to handle this. And we had faith in the Lord Jesus that you would accomplish the task that you were here put on earth, assigned to accomplish to benefit all of us. Let me be clear. This is a prosecution. Now, the context that I'm giving you, very much relevant for your everyday life, but an American citizen is whose life is at stake, and the federal government is very corrupt, hoping for a loss of life, hoping for a kidnapping, hoping for a mental breakdown in order to conform to what federal agents like Jason Isaac Fields and his sex partner Tracy Banks and all the co-defendants that aided in submitting perjurious testimony in secret court hearings about property that was never reported to me, while they've been gang stalking me the whole time and holding down my evidence on the internet where YouTube is suppressing it, alternating, changing, removing the views so that when you Google my name, it doesn't come up. My YouTube channel doesn't come up, while they're actively, diligently, obsessively trying to murder me, stalk me, psychologically torture me. Jason Isaac Fields of the federal level, he's going to federal prison. Never mind what Christ Jesus is doing. And yes, he is doing that. But Christ Jesus is prosecuting. Understand that. That's irrelevant to Jason Isaac Fields going to prison. The federal government's not doing me a favor. I'm advocating. I'm in the courtroom and I'm declaring what an American citizen, oh no, you don't have a right to do that, earth angel or not. Whatever you're talking about is legally irrelevant. I'm going to prosecute you. You're not doing me any favors. This is not an investigation. It's the same unlawful conduct. Remember, when the entity kidnaps me, the federal government is gang stalking the entire time, keeping tabs on me while they are simultaneously engaging in what is concerted, simultaneous theft of my property. All right, doing so behind my back while the entity thinks that it's distracting me with this ongoing, that's not a distraction. It's the correlation. It's the culmination of the bigger picture. This is why the entity conspired to murder me. This is why Tracy Banks is engaging in what is targeting me with the government my entire life, and thought that when I got to this ripe age that she was going to go ahead and do the finishing touch with regard to, again, Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks fake crying at my funeral. And they were plotting this for years. This is a long-term investment. Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks, the government have been maintaining hearings about property not disclosed to me, lying about me, defaming my character for years. They've been doing this for years. It's not new. It's not as of 2025. This is a long-term investment, okay? And that's also necessary when you're engaging in, well, it's not necessary because you can do the same thing in a very quick, shorter timeline. But the entity is engaging in what is public corruption, doing it through what is the passage of time so that nobody's suspicious about anything. Okay, while they're manufacturing, again, accumulating what is an artificially engineered record, defaming me, and this is all happening behind my back. I'm a whole attorney, living my life, minding my business, confused about the hardship that I'm experiencing professionally because it's not based on my performance or my abilities, certainly not my training and my skill set, but I am still, again, I am a soldier. I am very resilient, and so I have many skills, many hats, if you will, going into property management, and this is where I'm learning more and more about the pattern of conduct that I'm subject to. And I began documenting it in order to enforce my rights against my own mother, conspiring my murder, permitting the whole public, the government, into our home. So when she's talking to me inside of the apartment, she's talking to the whole entity. She's engaging in what is public information. Everything that she's stating when we're joking with each other, this is an envious person, stating things that aren't true, stating things like, oh, your breath stinks. My breath doesn't stink, but she's stating that because she calls herself embarrassing me in front of everyone that's engaging in surveillance with her. This is the malice of a demon who engages in witchcraft to try to make her vagina with like mine, which again, how does she even know what my vagina is like? Well, she knows that it hasn't had as much traffic as hers has, but she engages in witchcraft so that her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields, both of them who worship Satan, who obsess over my vagina while they summon demonic spirits that entice and influence the demon that's flying in circles over me, over my head of the Ontario police. Those demonic spirits. Those are the demonic spirits influencing a population, sharing in the pattern of conduct, in the demonic environment, the practice of witchcraft. Tracy Banks's overly used and web-infested genitalia is something that she utilizes spell work over while she obsesses over me. Satan deceiving her, thinking that she's ever going to be me. She doesn't even look like me. We do not look like the same age. We're not of the same generation. We're not on the same level in any regard whatsoever. It is spell work why people like Jason Isaac Fields, my age, find an elderly woman attractive, sexually attractive. None of my business, but I'm going to prosecute because that sexual relationship is legally relevant to the ongoing relationship that is unbeknownst to me underway while they're both targeting. They're both targeting me. And they're engaging in witchcraft. That's relevant to malice. That's relevant to the entity that wants to commit murder with no hands. Oh, you just died in your sleep. You just, choked in your sleep. You just had a heart attack. Young, healthy woman, no drug addiction issues. But again, the reality is that the entity will falsely depict my character, drug addict issues, prostitution, a criminal in and out of jail, and then she died in her sleep, probably because of the drugs that she's been abusing for years. This is how an entity murders you with no hands, witchcraft. This is relevant to the corrupt government actors that are demon-possessed. Jason Isaac Fields, the Ontario Police Department, every single last one of them. And that's illustrative regarding the demons that are targeting through all of the law enforcement agencies that I've exposed. And how do I expose them? Literally, I'm bait. I go through the city. You see the same exact specific environment following me. That's domestic terrorism. And a population that you are then aware of is following me. That's domestic terrorism, while the living dead are stalking as an entity, obsessed with me, sexually obsessed with me, and also frustrated because I am not going to be sacrificed. I am exposing them and I am prosecuting them. Then that mental illness is no longer concealed. The demons lack self-control. Okay, they will have public crash outs like the Ontario Police just engaged in, which is stalking and flying in circles for over 20 minutes in a helicopter after I published the 2 videos at 8 o'clock in the morning and at 6:59 in the morning, and the thorough analysis that you will see in the related content on the YouTube channel, where you will see that same exact address and the fake sun at the end of the day. 12 hours later, the entity and everybody that's in that environment showing you the psychopaths that are targeting in a malicious manner, doing so with a smile on their face, doing so while they're engaging in their job, their trade, doing so while I don't personally know them, and they're all engaging in gang stalking together. Those demons that engaged in stealing my property because that's how scared they are. Understand, stalking in the helicopter was an act of tremendous fear, but I'm going to prosecute the ordinary target individual is placed in a tremendous, in what is a severely dangerous position. The entity is conspiring your murder, and they are stalking you in a whole helicopter, flying in circles around you, focused on you, gassing up the helicopter. There's a lot of money put into that, and they're using all of that for me to just fly in circles above my head. That's getting to the obsession. That's getting to the maniacal psychopath. That's getting to the unhinged mind state. That's getting to the conspiracy to murder me. Okay, that's getting to that rage. Okay, engaging in what are acts of retaliation, just stealing my property, not only to engage in what is just harassing me, harming me, oppressing, but also to stop me. That's relevant. I don't care if it's 52 cents. I don't care if it's a $2,000 MacBook. And my underwear, and my money, and my food, and my water, and my hygiene products. Okay, you're going to federal prison for it. This is what Jason Isaac Fields is counting on was going to stop me. He's going to prison. And so is his sex partner, Tracy Banks. These sex offenders are going into federal facilities. Okay, this is the entity that's relying on this conduct. The federal government, Jason Isaac Fields, is not engaging in any legitimate investigation. They are sitting back. While I was kidnapped by the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, the federal government, if I was still sitting there, would still be engaging in what is going on with their business of stealing my property. And that would be tucked away because I would be kept kidnapped in a mental facility. That's what they plan to do. The federal government isn't going to come and stop and, we're going to come pick you up now. We're done with our investigation. We're going to come and raid Arrowhead and come rescue you from kidnapping. That's not what the federal government is doing. They're sitting back gang stalking. I've already exposed them. And I've blown the whistle to the criminal itself. Satan knows exactly what Satan is doing. Satan is watching, and I'm referring to the federal government, which is a spirit. Satan is watching Satan, the Ontario Police Department, it's a spirit, stalk me in a helicopter. Why do you think they're engaging in that conduct without any fear? No fear. It's on the venue of the internet, not fearful that the federal government's watching online, not fearful that the federal government is somewhere engaging in surveillance, watching them, watching me. And it's the same with the demons that are stalking with impossible light. I captured that. I put it right on the internet. Why do you have a population of people that are fearlessly engaging in open terrorism, open sexual violence, open harassment, theft? Jason Isaac Fields is a domestic terrorist. This is a psychopath. This is a lowlife that engaged in what is sex with my mom and theft of my property and was counting on murder committed by this entity that is gang stalking with him, engaging in federal stalking with him. He's sitting back. The entity is engaging in what is monitoring. And this is also a demon that's spiritually attacking me. He is still engaging in witchcraft. That's what you need to know. This is somebody that belongs in a mental asylum. This is a demon with multiple personalities that's speaking to multiple demons. And he's engaged in what is on one moment, and I'm just paraphrasing with regard to this demon that's spiritually attacked me, and it's Jason Isaac Fields. It's illustrative of this spirit, this entity in general that is attacking, engaging in psychological torture. On one moment, as though celebratory, as I publish successfully evidence while the entity seeks to obstruct my ability to access the internet, or as I publish the documentation successfully despite having gone through theft of my property, everything that I own, except for my phones, okay, basically. And the entity is engaging in this, and at that moment, ostensibly celebrating, if you will, but then that same demon is then at the next moment stalking in a helicopter. And then that same demon, this is a spirit that's monitoring, then engages in what is threatening, such as though, threatening in a manner such that songs that are not songs that I'm thinking about, not songs that I am mindful of, or songs that I'm singing to myself. This is a spirit that's breaking down to you what is psychological torture, what is spiritually attacking. And it is through the person, Jason Isaac Fields in particular, this is the one that's engaging in this conduct while he is physically engaging in criminal conduct, which I will prosecute him for. It's already proven that he's been defaming my character in court. That's tangible evidence. I'm giving you context because I'm fully exposing. You need to know that this is a demon who was spiritually attacking. These are not songs that I'm music that I'm mindful of, that I'm thinking of, that I even care about. And this is a demon that uses such songs that are threatening, as in, I bet, like, what is it, Jill Scott? You better back down before you get smacked down. You better chill. That is conveying the idea that something harm, I'm going to suffer harm. And this is coinciding with the demon that's in the sky space, stalking, by definition, in the specific environment, by helicopter, occurring with simultaneity. These are the demons that are engaging in this against American citizens who don't know that they're being attacked. You're going to question your own sanity. Am I losing my mind? And how come when I have these thoughts, they always engage in what is following me around in the red car that lets out all this exhaust that I was choking before, and it scares me every time they do that. They do that at the same time every day. Every time I think about it, that same red car lets out all that exhaust, and it's really, really loud, and it scares me. They do the same thing every time, and you are questioning your sanity. I'm just giving you an example of the entity that's engaging in psychological torture, engaging in a pattern of conduct that's designed to psychologically torture you. Stalking in a helicopter is an example of that. Doing so while they are engaging in spiritually attacking you, and this is supposed to result in what is psychologically breaking you down before they get you in a circumstance where they can murder you. And guess what is happening while you're looking at people that don't know you? They're nice to you. They're working at the circulation desk. They're very helpful while they are obsessively monitoring you and monitoring your genitalia, monitoring what you're doing on the internet, monitoring what it is that bothers you, what makes you cry, what scares you, and they repeat it over and over again so that you question your sanity. Is that really happening? Why is it happening at the same time? Why is it every time I do this and every time I think of that, this is happening? This is the entity that's engaged. That's a tactic, okay? This is what Jason Isaac Fields is engaging in. All right, this is a demon, not just a corrupt government actor. This is a demon. And he's engaged in what is threatening. This is a psychopath, and I'm going to let you know that he's mentally ill. Not only based on evident through the criminal conduct, the corrupt acts that he's engaged in, you're not sane engaging in that. He's also a demon-possessed gang stalker. You're not sane being a gang stalker. All right, the entities also, you need to understand, engaging in spiritual warfare. So this demon in particular, Jason Isaac Fields, who was not investigating, this is a demon that's invested in my demise. And he is also spiritually attacking with the demons that are engaging in what is spiritually attacking while you're gang stalking. This is spiritual. This is gang stalking is witchcraft. But I've just provided you a body of evidence to prove that they're targeting in a what is a exposed pattern. Every time they're going with regard to surveillance. That's why they engineer light while they're driving by, which, by the way, is how is that even happening? And you're looking at the supernatural that's happening every time, the hundreds of people engaging in the same supernatural occurrence over and over and over and over again, while the entity is also simultaneously spiritually attacking you, psychologically attacking you, while you're looking at things such as stalking in a helicopter for 20 minutes, while none of those tactics work. And the demons are very fearful, contrary to what that's supposed to be something that's supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be something that's supposed to break you down. Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison. He's not an investigator. This is somebody that failed in the sacrifice. This is somebody who failed in the sacrifice with his mother. All that group sex that they engaged in, all that that gay sex that Jason Isaac Fields submitted to because he thought he was going to get spiritual power by engaging in sodomy. That's what he thought. This is the sex cult that he's a part of. And this is at the same time a federal agent. Okay? Understand the relevance of this sex cult, this coven that's engaged in spiritually attacking in order to steal. It's public corruption, and I'm getting into the details. These are demons that have sex with children under the false illusion that Satan creates for them. They're mentally ill, that they will garner spiritual power and the ability to engage in, ooh, you can't see me while I'm attacking you. You don't know what's happening. In other words, spiritually attacking someone that they are engaged in criminal activity against, and doing so in a manner that's supposed to falsely depict. And why is that supposed to falsely depict? Because they're using witchcraft, because they're spiritually attacking you. They're demons. It's surrounding you with demonic activity. And because you cannot see the spiritual, that's why when you're talking about things that nobody can see, but I'm showing you clearly what you can see. And this is the entity that's hostile because I've accomplished that. So then what you have, paradoxically, ironically, the entities showing their mental illness, which they sought to hide the entire time. They tried to hide that. The demon that's at the front entrance that's smiling, that's a psychopath. And the hostility is not hidden behind a smile. The hostility is shown by the gang stalker that's flying in circles, following me till she's in my path at the venue, making sure that somebody is crossing path. That obsession is shown through the presence in that specific environment, not the smile on her face. That's a demon. And it is directly contradicting, if you're only looking at the surface, to what you know is targeting, which is the Ontario Police and helicopter. There's a bigger picture, though. And all of those demons that are stalking under the fake sun, in traffic, in the planes, and engaging in what is the gang stalking airlines, doing so in a whole fake environment. And they're also engaged in spiritually attacking, like this corrupt federal agent, Jason Isaac Fields, who was mad because the sex that he engaged in with somebody the age of his grandma, my mother, is not panning out the way that he planned. And you are not switching over to the quote unquote good side, and you're not engaging what is holding back justice. While I have a right to not be subject to this, and the case is already proven. Stealing my property, that's helping Jason Isaac Fields, who was hoping that that's going to result in what is stopping me from publishing evidence against him. What was happening in 2022? What was happening in 2021? What was happening in 2020, 2019, 2018? While these demons are having sex parties, worshiping Satan, summoning demonic spirits that inspire this satanic conduct amongst the population, while they are targeting me, and they're also engaging in criminal conduct that's created a record regarding targeting me. What were they doing in court? What was Jason Isaac Fields representing about me in a court where he doesn't even have any business there? So what, by business, I mean Tracy Banks is a fake gang stalking mother, a sociopath, a serial killer. All right? But Jason Isaac Fields, this is a totally irrelevant demon. Pray to hell. What are you even doing, having anything to do? What are you doing here? I don't even talk to you. You're totally irrelevant. How do you even know about this? Understand that it is the direct evidence of him targeting me as a state system. He's got dibs, in other words, and what belongs to me. That's why somebody that it's none of his business and he should have no idea about it. But it's beyond my fake family. It's beyond my fake friends, who I also never talked to any of them about it. Somebody that's so far off, like Jason Isaac Fields, I haven't talked to this bum since, in a conversation, been in his face rather, since 2018, when I left his house, aware of the fact that he's a gang stalking demon, a psychopath, who was engaged in a secret relationship with my mother. That's the last time that I was in his presence. At his apartment in Rialto, California, fake sun over me, monitoring on communication devices. This demon is engaging in what is gang stalking, not an investigation. And you are not going to switch over to what is some sort of partner. So you might be providing evidence, but I want to be clear, whatever it is that you're providing with regard to selfish purposes, and I don't care, you can say, oh no, it doesn't matter what you want to call it. You are gang stalking, the consequence is prison, period. Regardless of whether you provide information to the feds because you want a lesser consequence, it's going to include federal prison. You're going to prison. And you're done with law enforcement. There is nothing that is going to salvage that. Everybody hear me very loud and clear, because the entity, this conduct, an ordinary target individual is already dead by now. Already dead. The entity is hoping that I drop dead. It's not going to happen. So I am a transient. Jason Isaac Fields has been living off of my money for years, engaging in what is stealing from me, having sex with my mother, and this is a demon. People engage in betraying you. People engage in wicked conduct in service to Satan, whether they know it or not. It's serving that purpose, and the entity is engaging in this. This is a deliberate act by the wicked, who are, again, under the guise that Satan is going to bless you because you betray me in that manner. I don't care about who Jason Isaac Fields puts his genitalia inside of. I could not care less. The reason why I don't talk to him is because he is personally repugnant to me. Okay? He is a despicable individual engaging in this system. At any level, you are disqualified from having any involvement in my life, and it's never going to change. Engaging in gang stalking and then turning over evidence to the federal government while I still am suffering the consequences of what you never should have did in the first place as a demon. At that, you serve Satan. We're never going to be friends. It's never going to happen, and you are not helping me while I'm still suffering. And by the way, you're just trying to help yourself, because if I didn't have this body of evidence, you wouldn't be giving the federal government anything. You got caught, Satan. That's what happened. You got caught, and you are going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison. The demons that you paid to take me out are the demons that are providing evidence against you and everybody else. And namely Tracy Banks, who's had sex with, who has recruited, who has targeted me in concert with the demons that fill the state of California. This is how sacrifices, this is organized crime, murder by the government is executed, okay? And it's state action. And it's relevant to the entity that is incapable of targeting me successfully with their witchcraft. Not only is it not going to work, I'm going to share that with you because you need to be informed about what are spiritual attacks, and it's not a reflection on your mental illness. You need to pursue Christ Jesus, submit to God, and resist the devil, and he will flee from you. All right, if you have not already accepted Christ Jesus as your Lord and Savior, because a sound mind is in Christ Jesus, giving you the mind of Christ. Okay, putting on that helmet of salvation, that's literally and figuratively with regard to the protection that is in Christ Jesus. And I want to be clear, the desperation of Satan, the evil times, the evil days that we are in, your sanity is in Christ Jesus. If you don't know him, you're dealing with a bunch of delusional psychopaths who are living in a whole fake existence. They're not focused on going to work every day. That's not what this is about. They're all the degree to which the entity is engaging in surveillance lets you know what is not the actual purpose of everyday life. But they want those who are ignorant to be focused on the grind, getting that quote unquote bag, making sure that you're keeping up with the Joneses, that they want you distracted so that you don't pay attention to what you actually need, which is Christ Jesus. And that is to save your natural mind, because you're looking at people who are sick. They're sick and they walk around in delusion, and they know that they're sick. That's why they're focused on trying to defame the target individual, by the way. That's speaking to consciousness. Oh, you know that you're crazy. That's why you're projecting it on someone else. These are demons that are relying on and feeding off of spiritually while they're attacking you. And they're also obsessed with the sane mind that you have, okay? With the able body that is God-given. Okay, and it's also your reality, your relationship, your position in Christ is not based on, because you could be physically handicapped and be all totally whole in Christ. And I want to be clear, that's what I mean. I don't mean able-bodied because you can be a paraplegic and be saved in Christ Jesus. That's not what I'm talking about. But I mean able-bodied meaning you have all of your mind. These demons are spiritually handicapped. They are mentally diseased. They don't have a right mind. They're obsessively, while they're sitting at the front desk, checking people out with books and stuff and having conversations. Do you understand that while I'm downstairs in the basement, they are simultaneously aware of my every movement, aware of what it is that I am doing on the computer, on the phones, what it is that I'm doing in the bathroom, all together, because you're dealing with the spiritual realm, which again, intentionally is never discussed in everyday life. The lack of popularity regarding Christ Jesus. Okay, the false doctrines out here talking about there's any path to God, to heaven. That's a lie out of the pit of hell, because they want you to walk around being a psychopath like them. Psychopathy is identified, I want to be clear, in the personal romantic relationships of people. Psychopaths that are harming, engaging in toxic relationships with one another. They're engaging in what is trying to psychologically murder each other. You get with someone and you only want to cheat on them because you're bitter because of what happened to you in your last relationship. And you want to make sure that you might not consciously engage and say that to yourself, but you are getting in relationship with people so that you can act out the fury, the hurt, the pain, the betrayal that you have experienced, and you're doing it to somebody else that may very well have good intentions towards you. You're doing it and you are incentivized to do it because you want to make sure that they experience what you experience, because it's not fair. All right, because you were of that position before, in that position, and somebody tore your heart apart and you weren't ever right after that. I want to be clear, it's relevant to what is a spiritual means of attacking. This is demonic. The romantic relationships, the way in which you're told that you're supposed to date, the way in which you're supposed to maintain relationships, the way in which you're supposed to go about life. It's all conditioning your mind. And the romantic arena in particular, these are psychopaths that are engaging what are emotionally and mentally and psychologically murdering each other. And this is why you have this promiscuous, sex-obsessed, toxic population. And they're all dating each other. They're all engaging in what is exchanging STDs with one another. They're all engaging in going around lying to each other, betraying each other, cheating on each other. And then they also at the same time claim that they love each other. Oh, we're together. Oh no, we're together, but we're in an open relationship. Oh, we're in a devoted partnership, but we cheat, but it's okay. These are, I want to be clear, that's psychopathic. It's spiritual. It's rooted in the spirit. Anyway, I just want to get to the entity that is stalking. I'm going to publish this on X, on Twitter. This is relevant to the entity that is going to federal prison for stealing my property. That's very specific conduct. And the entity that's gang stalking me on video, they're the ones that are going to federal prison for it. But understand, it's the conspiracy to commit murder. This is the entity that is stalking you everywhere that you're going as an entity. They are stalking you while they are maintaining criminal surveillance. And they're doing so with the intent to obstruct justice as well. And that's what's relevant to the theft of my property today. Okay? And they're very fearful of what it is that I'm publishing, 2022, the YouTube channel, where YouTube is engaging in the pattern of conduct with the intent to obstruct justice. This is the entity that's, in other words, targeting from all angles, and demons who are very fearful of going to federal prison. And I want to be clear, the federal government is sitting back and they're not going to get any round of applause from me. They're not going to get any sort of endorsement from me. This is not anything that they are under any circumstances to be proud of. They are not engaging in any investigation, no protection, no assistance whatsoever. They are not protecting. They are not engaging in any sort of investigation whatsoever. I'm showing you the lawlessness that is underway in concert with the federal government. The federal government that already engaged in criminal activity, and they are engaged in still gang stalking, withholding justice, that is interference, stopping them from this conduct, which I have a right to not be subject to. So because I don't break down in a corner and start acting out in a way that the ignorant, the corrupt will call mentally ill, that's not mental illness. That's not mental illness, even if an American citizen, which the ordinary target individual, American citizens do, because you're fragile human beings and you're not supposed to be subject to this satanic means of targeting, psychological torture. It's a program. That's not mental illness. The entity is falsely depicting the character of those in doing so. This is why the laws are going to change in this country. But I want to go ahead and entertain this. Even if I were to cower in a corner and start crying and breaking down, first of all, that's not mental illness. And second of all, this is what the entity is relying on. But I want to be clear, even in federal court, with Jason Isaac Fields, with Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, et cetera, what they've already committed in federal court, in reality, outside of a corrupt and unjust system, it's not serving the purposes of the entity that is always lying about having any sort of basis to ever conduct an investigation about me. I've never been a criminal, never committed any criminal activity. The entity did so while they engaged in the crime of stealing from me, and then gang stalking was supposed to be a distraction. It's supposed to means whereby they're artificially concocting information in order to support while they're stealing my money. Stole my money already, still gang stalking in furtherance of committing murder. In order to keep that criminal act committed by the government, they permitted Tracy Banks to have a secret conservatorship. They permitted her to submit legally irrelevant information in court hearings about things that aren't even true, while they're giving her permission to keep control over property that belongs to me, the only sane person in the state of California. I said exactly what I said. I said exactly what I said. While the entity is projecting, targeting me as a whole statewide system. These are psychopaths. They are actually mentally ill and defaming me. The government is the one that permitted that. And Jason Isaac Fields is directly engaging in it. And there is no evidence that he can give to the federal government while they're sitting back and watching it and wanting to see what happens. An American citizen has a right for the government not to engage in that. If the target individual sits up and falls dead, dies in their sleep due to witchcraft, the entity that's engaging, and you might argue that the federal government can't help that anyway, because what are they going to be able to do when you're asleep in a hotel room and you die in your sleep due to witchcraft? But I want to be clear, this is the entity that is supposed to interfere with regard to stopping the entity from targeting. It is relevant to the ongoing witchcraft that they will engage in while they are subject to a prosecution. It is relevant to the government that's sitting back and watching it be inflicted upon an American citizen. It is relevant to the entity being exposed. It is relevant when they're using witchcraft trying to murder somebody. So it is not sufficient to state, well, the federal government can't control about the use of witchcraft and watching them engaging in what are rituals, pacing about like psychopaths in the middle of the night under a fake moon while they're summoning demonic spirits and having sex with cats and dogs and sacrificing them in the engineer light at nightfall while they're hoping that that's going to help me just lose my mind and stop documenting. This is the entity that's engaging in that. The federal government is going to be held responsible. The target individual that is suffering kidnapping, the federal government is permitting that. You're engaging in that. And by the way, Jason Isaac Fields' criminal conduct is what is going to prosecute you. So the entity is engaging in this, and there is no provision of evidence that's going to lessen that. I just want to be clear on that. The entity is stealing my property. And I never should have been dispossessed of in the first place. There was never any legitimate investigation of me in the first place. This is starting at the outset, criminal conduct by the government. Tracy Banks, as a gang stalker, is in the shoes of the state. And also Tracy Banks is a malicious actor lying to a court about having an investigation as to why I cannot handle money or property that belongs to me. And by the way, her unpersuasive lies that aren't even relevant to mental illness that doesn't exist, mental illness that's coexisting with my documentation of the government that's also engaged in what is trying to maintain property as a secret from me and trying to find a way to steal it from me by engaging what is gang stalking and calling it an investigation. No, that's what they're doing. The entity has committed murder. They've killed other people about my money, my property, concealing it. While the Ontario police are showing their engagement in that criminal system, their engagement in that murder that has occurred around me, centered around what is keeping me ignorant about the pattern of conduct. The Lord Jesus himself is the one that told me about what's going on. The Lord Jesus himself is the one that informed me about the fact that I was targeted and also told me what to do about it. And it is the body of evidence that is the P.O.C. Okay, so I just want to give that context. Lindsay is gang stalking while she is giving me this room. This is a psychopath that's asking questions that she already knows the answer to. She knows the status of my vagina in the bathroom. And that's the reality of what is mental illness that is actually spread about by a spirit. People that are not covered by Christ Jesus. They do not have the Holy Spirit dwelling within them. They do not know Christ Jesus as their personal Lord and Savior. They have not submitted to him and confessed their sins and asked him to come into their heart and been baptized. They have not been saved by grace through faith. They do not know that salvation. And you also are in fear of what I'm showing you. You are, not in fear, but you are in danger of being, what is this? The spirit which is controlling your mind, controlling your behavior. But in court, when you're being prosecuted for gang stalking, that's not a defense, because you are acting of your volition as far as anybody else is observing. You're the one that is driving that vehicle, getting in the path while engineer light is streaming behind your vehicle. Stating that there's a spell over you is not a legally relevant argument. It's you are going to be prosecuted. And that's domestic terrorism while it's underway. And that's proving the spiritual reality about what's going on. Okay? It's currently 11:09 a.m. And I want to make sure that you're aware of that. The entity stole my property today and literally had a public breakdown, which is shown through the stalking, through the planes over my head, the cloud pass over my head. That's the city of Ontario stalking, because I captured Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines, Amazon Prime stalking, everything that I'm doing on my phone. Then they're engaged with a flight over the venue as I log onto the Wi-Fi, as I publish video on the venue of the internet, as I start editing the description box, as I begin publishing, as I add related content, plane after plane after plane, commercial plane. The entity engages in what is surreptitious stalking in planes by the cloud pass that are evident. You can see one, then you'll see three, while the Ontario police the entire time engaging in what is ongoing cycling. This is demonic pacing. That's the behavior of a psychopath that's going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. If you can imagine in your mind somebody that's standing in front of you and all they're doing is going back and forth and back and forth in front of you. Even when you're walking, they're making sure that they're staying right in front of you and they're going back and forth while they're doing so. That's what the demons are doing in Engineer Light. The entity, instead of it being one person, it's a population of demons, and all they're doing is going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. They are the demon possessed. They are mentally ill, and their mental illness is now on the outside. It is evident through their criminal pattern of conduct. It's evident through that environment where they are going back and forth around me, stalking and monitoring, which is the behavior of demons. They're also doing that in helicopter when they're flying in circles over and over and over and over and over and over. That's demonic pacing in helicopter. And that is that mental illness that is no longer closeted at all. It's also not closeted because you know that they're all under the fake sun and an engineered light during the day and at nightfall. And that psychopath is unhinged when they see that evidence go up still, in spite of stealing my documentation, stealing my evidence, stealing my laptop, stealing everything that I own, and I'm not cowering in a corner. And the federal government, moreover, is going to federal prison, namely Jason Isaac Fields. And there is no evidence that you're turning over. You can report to the feds that are not engaging in an investigation. They're not. He's not, they're not, and there is no investigation that's going to supersede federal prison. You are going to federal prison when you are gang stalking and furtherance of murder, when you're in a position of law enforcement, state and or federal. And it's the same public entity. You're going to federal prison. Okay, you hear how I'm underscoring what I'm stating with this noise in the back? Because they're going to federal prison. You are not avoiding that. This is representing the ordinary target individual, and you're not going to manipulate and negotiate and contract and trickster your way out of that. I don't care what evidence you provide. Okay, not saying that there's not a basis to provide evidence and that is incentivizing that and serving that investigation, but you're not getting out of prison. You're not getting out of federal prison. You are going to serve time in federal prison. It is currently 11:11 a.m. This is P.O.C.
All right, it is currently 1:23 p.m. This is documentation prefacing the video documentation showing the Ontario Police Department, who you see gang stalking clearly under a fake sun that's present in the evening. And this is the entity engaging in that level of impunity based on evidence against it. This is the prosecution of the government that has conspired the murder of an American citizen and has openly engaged in what is threatening that American citizen that exposed it with that level of lawlessness and disregard for the consequences. And this is what the federal government is going to be prosecuted for. And it is resulting in what is the inevitable and mandated mandated disbanding of the Ontario police who are stalking under a fake sun, following me, harassing and terrorizing and engaging in psychological torture, stalking using helicopter, and it's pursuant to the demons that are the Ontario police that I'm documenting, the demons who are the people of the state that I'm capturing, engaging in the P.O.C. And that hostility is illustrated while they are engaging what is repeated pacing using helicopters, stalking, while I am also publishing the evidence. So the entity is stalking under the fake sun. This is established. The fake sun remains stationary over this venue. This is established. On this day in 2024, I am in Kern County. Bakersfield police are stalking on the roads and the highways, just like the people of the state are in Ontario, in a crime scene that's readily identifiable. And the Ontario police that are engaged in criminal conduct are sharing that statewide pattern of conduct. This is how you have the same crime scene, a supernatural occurrence, pursuant to what is also present in the path by corrupt law enforcement agencies who are shown to be engaging in the exact same targeting system. This is relevant context while the Ontario police engage in what is over 15 to 20 minutes of stalking me in a helicopter based on what is being an unhinged psychopath that is very much hostile, as I document with conclusive evidence that they are number one demons, that they are number two targeting me, and that they are also maniacal psychopaths who are caught in a criminal system for which there will be severe prosecution for, severe consequences. And the entity's disregard by stalking someone that's exposing it with helicopter that's intended to harass and threaten you while you're putting that evidence on the internet, that's that entity that is going to federal prison. All right, this is video documentation that I'm capturing at OVITT Family Community Library at 215 East C Street in Ontario, California, where the entity is engaging in that P.O.C. with impunity. They are inside of the library in that same exact specific environment for that same deliberate purpose. They're doing so pursuant to a pattern of conduct, the intent to engage in criminal monitoring with that government flying over my head by helicopter, harassing me en route to this venue where the demon-possessed find it comical, they find it entertaining, they find it satisfying because the demons are hostile to the evidence that I have revealed regarding the gang stalking system. So this is relevant to that system, okay? It's currently, again, 1:26. I'm going to start the video right now. The video that I'm referring to that is captured, let me see, September 21st at 1:25 p.m., but I'm going to go ahead and get the video together so it's a negligible difference. This is why I'm also capturing podcasts, which is speaking to the ongoing P.O.C. The demons are pacing. They're monitoring while they're going in and out of the entrance. All right, that's already established. I'm showing you what the entity is doing statewide. That's how the fake sun is remaining over the same venue where it was this morning. And yet I am showing you the pattern of conduct while it is underway in a different city, different county. This is the entity that is maliciously targeting. And the Ontario police, their obvious engagement in gang stalking is, again, a disservice to the rest of the demons that don't want to be exposed. But that is inevitable based on my evidence, and it's also inevitable when the Ontario police engage in that open act of terrorism that I documented today at 9:53 until 10:17 a.m. All right, this is P.O.C. And I'm starting the video at 1:27 a.m. The fake sun is remaining in the same position, so this is getting to same time, same day, and this is the pattern of conduct. It's P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently the people of the state are monitoring, so pay attention to the P.O.C. while I capture the screen recording, exposing the rest of the state. It's August 21st, it's 1:27 p.m. These are what the demons are doing all the time, which is stalking. 8VMX292 was the entity that was gang stalking in the same manner at 9:59, 10 a.m. And your recognition of that is the supernatural where the fake sun is over me and the state's criminal pattern of conduct stalking in planes. You see Southwest Airlines pacing, flying over UPS, the Ontario police stalking in helicopters, okay, for 17 minutes, 18 minutes today, more than 18 minutes actually. And suppose your driver is engaging in the pattern of conduct of maintaining flashing light in that engineered environment. This is that pattern of conduct that is underway where I am at the same time in Bakersfield on the roads and the highways where the sun would not be in this same position, not only at the same address, but this is showing you what the city of Ontario is engaging in. You also know that because the Ontario police provided an exposition of criminal monitoring where the city of Ontario, L&D WAPNER, and Amazon Prime and every other airline are getting stalking. And these are demons who are monitoring. And this is the pattern of conduct that's underway at the same time, at the same place, which is impossible to occur with regard to the sun that's reflecting off of her windshield. The sun that's over my head could not possibly be the sun that I'm documenting. I'm holding more than one phone, forgive me, as I am at the same time on this day in 2024 in Bakersfield, California. So this is the P.O.C. while you're seeing L&D WAPNER engaging in terrorism. This is what they were doing with the Ontario police this morning. These are the demons that are monitoring my vagina. This is the sex offense. This is the terrorism, psychological torture, 6FCV 8589, while the public corruption is being exposed. And these are demons that are in this supernatural environment. It's demonic. Demons are exceedingly hostile. That's why that demon flying the helicopter followed me to this entrance based on hostility to the evidence that they are criminally keeping under surveillance, including in the environment. That's what Suppose You Drive is engaging in. That's a corrupt business, and that's a prosecution. This is what Bakersfield is engaging in on the same time, at the same time on this same day in 2024.
Called a coward, trying to cover up the license plate while they're group stalking. Those are the demons that are group stalking as the state in doing so. This is the San Diego freeway that I'm on. This is still San Diego County. So you have what is already the San Diego Sheriff's Department and the San Diego Police Department. You saw Oceanside crossing path, and the entities engaging the same P.O.C. and speeding by.
So let me remind you so you can see this from the beginning.
This is crossing path. This is the state license plate. Paper plate, K9 stay back. That's called a coward.
That's Bakersfield.
Trying to cover up the
Bakersfield is gang stalking in this specific environment.
Those are the demons that are group stalking as the state.
The fake sun is over me while this demon is monitoring. That's stalking by the government, not a private citizen. And this is not this is not private property, and this is not again a business that's exercising any property rights. The government is maintaining surveillance of the people who are obsessively monitoring, doing so of all races, all ages, and they're doing so in concert with the government that you saw directly proving that by stalking, incessantly using helicopters, specifically targeting me with regard to hostility, theft of my property by this entity, based on hostility to the documentation that I'm publishing on the internet. And this is the shared pattern of conduct by Bakersfield while I'm in San Diego County, where the fake sun is remaining over the sunroof of my car when I'm on the roads and the highways in motion, versus remaining stationary at the same address where I was at this morning, where the government is engaged in gang stalking. So let me capture this again.
This is the San Diego freeway that I'm on. This is still San Diego County. You have what is already the San Diego Sheriff's Department and the San Diego Police Department. You saw Oceanside crossing path, and the entities engaging the same P.O.C. and speeding by with a paper plate that's blowing in the wind. So I'm laughing not because it's actually quite a lot. They engage in this crime and they're supposed to be so lying and terrorizing people, and people are reasonably fearful of it. But I am confronting it and I'm prosecuting it, and I find cowards everywhere that I go. I find cowards everywhere that I go, and it's pathetic. Group stalking with the state, nonetheless, is a federal prison. License plate 90FY785. They are going to federal prison. License plate. Group stalking with the state, that's a coward hiding their license plate while the people in the state are going to federal prison. License plate 17BW804 9DQY439, and that's light activity. You can see the fake sun through the rear windshield. License plate 9LD999. They're going to federal prison, and you don't have a legal argument. This is group stalking, and if you don't want the demons, if you don't want to go directly to federal prison, then I suggest you tell these demons to stand down because they're getting each other in trouble. They're going to federal prison. License plate, this is a third party group stalker with the demon that crossed path with a paper plate, and he's going to federal prison. 88561L3. Driving a commercial vehicle, BK.com. 9HCD797.
All right, these are the people of the state that are gang stalking in the same manner that you see here at OVITT Family Community Library, where surveillance is underway inside of that library, specifically monitoring me, stalking, that is keeping me under surveillance in the bathroom, pursuant to my genitalia, pursuant to private activity, which the government that is stalking at that library using helicopter is necessarily engaging in that, including in the bathroom, by the way. But the entity is engaging in the elements of monitoring in the bathroom. License plate 8GYR651, a sex offender, 9JOE163, a sex offender, and they're intentionally engaging in this pattern of conduct with this level of impunity. They do so with the government that's engaging what is providing evidence against them, because people of the state are going to be prosecuted like the state directly. Paul Leon is stalking under a fake sun and calling himself the mayor, where the fake sun is over me in San Diego County. The entity is maintaining flights that are nothing having anything to do with arrivals and departures, published on the Ontario International website, where Amazon Prime is hovering over this senior citizen complex, and the fake sun is over
the same entrance as it followed me to this entrance this morning. That was at 10 o'clock, 10:17 to be precise. This is the P.O.C. And this is the entity that's keeping this fake sun over me while I'm on the roads and the highways traveling about on this day in 2024. And the entity kept the fake sun over me in San Diego, over at Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott. The entity kept the fake sun over me while I left that venue and keeps the fake sun over me, which is the identification of a crime scene where there's no private activity. And the government confirmed that because you saw them engaging in what is stalking, heavily stalking this morning. And let's revisit what the entity is doing under the fake sun. Stalking with impunity that is relevant to what everybody else is doing in that specific environment. Terrorism.
The Ontario police follow. There's no question they're stalking me in helicopter flying in circles around me. They were flying over there when I was sitting by the clock. The fake sun's not over there anymore either. They are stalking, flying in circles around me while the fake sun is moving as I move. That's the community library that used to be kidnapping. Right now, at the hospital, they just kidnapped me while they're stalking. And you prove that, and the psychopath comes out, okay? It's triggered, and the entity lacks self-control. And that's the federal government's criminal conduct. HDF 458 is stalking with possible life. Stalking with the Ontario police every day, like I'm documenting. That's P.O.C. following as I go. So does the fake sun. And it still has for 6 p.m. where that department is engaged in gang stalking. P.O.C. these are psychopaths. This is public corruption that you're engaging in. Psychopaths that are stalking and furthering the murder. Doing so while a fake sun remains over this venue and a bunch of humans are stalking with noise. As I'm documenting inside of the venue, they're stalking in the bathroom, monitored by the vagina, and the entity is stalking in a helicopter. This is documented terrorism and psychological torture.
All right, the entity follows me to the entrance, and the fake sun is in the same position that it was this morning, okay? This is the P.O.C. of what is domestic terrorism and psychological torture, and I'm at the same location walking toward the same entrance, and understand everybody that is gang stalking is doing so with knowledge of being documented. You need to know that minor children are engaged in federal group stalking monitoring with the adults that they're acting with, and this is the government that's engaged in what is activity creation. They're all walking in engineer light, and the adults that are demons that are gang stalking with the government engaging in public corruption do so while you know the fake sun is over me in San Diego County, using the faces of minor children, which is not any innocence whatsoever. That's the malice behind the entity that are pedophiles engaging in gang stalking. This is the same violence that children are subject to when they're gang stalking with the people of the state. The people of the state and the government, including the Ontario Police Department, these are pedophiles that are engaging in the sex trafficking system of children that they're also gang stalking with under a fake sun that's at the same exact address that I was at this morning while the Ontario Police were terrorizing me with all these demons who are monitoring. This is not walking around, this is monitoring. They're intensely engaging in activity creation. That's why the demons are pacing under a fake sun that's over my vehicle that's in motion, as opposed to staying at a building that is stationary. And the entities engaging in the evidence of surveillance, in addition to the helicopter activity, the hallmark of gang stalking in California. All right, that's P.O.C. The entity's monitoring while you're hearing that amplified train, and the demons are engaged in what is monitoring my vagina. That's the sexual violence. They're engaged in what is molestation with impossible light. They're walking with impossible light, meaning multiple shadows, which is not the product of light fixtures in the ceiling. They're monitoring inside of the venue and keeping engineer light. So let me show you again the ongoing maintenance of the environment inside of the library. This is the entity that's keeping engineer light. The fake sun, if that's the sun in Bakersfield, while I'm on the freeway, and it's over the roof of my car, and while I'm on the freeway driving around, and I'm on the same day at the same time at Alvarado Gardens, at OVITT Family Community Library, where I was this morning at 10 o'clock, not only would this not be sunlight based on just looking at the present location where I'm at, the sun doesn't sit for hours anywhere all day long. But not only that, this isn't sunlight. This is what I'm telling you about the engineered environment where the demons are stalking, creating what is an illusion. And that illusion is serving to prosecute the government. EF 738E3. All right, that's a government actor with paper plates. Gang stalking with a white van and paper plates. The government that's gang stalking uses a lot of those types of vehicles while they're anticipating documentation. This is the environment where the OVITT Family Community Library is engaging in criminal surveillance as a population coming in, sharing in what is gang stalking, which is only committed in furtherance of murder. And this is a shared pattern of conduct by the San Diego Police Department, the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. Remember, at 1 o'clock yesterday, I am remaining at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The fake sun is in the same position in its zenith where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking. The fake sun's over me at the San Diego Police Department at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But you're looking at the evidence of the fake sun being here from 10 in the morning, 10:17 while the Ontario police are stalking. Amazon Prime is gang stalking. Southwest Airlines is gang stalking. The Ontario police stalking in helicopters with the fake sun. But at 1 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, which was August 20th, the fake sun is in the same position over me. That's time of year analysis, time of day analysis, when you're looking at the predators that gang stalk with children, and they're also the pedophiles that sexually violate those children that they put on camera so that you see the criminal monitoring, the public corruption that the government government is incentivizing with minor children, because that's the same elements of monitoring. While they chose to engage in the gang stalking conduct, criminal surveillance, domestic terrorism, and psychological torture with minor children, okay? These are psychopaths that are all monitoring. And that's what, again, the entity is doing so under a sun that's not going to be over the San Diego Police Department. San Diego police are engaged in gang stalking, and that's why they were stalking by helicopter at my hotel room, which is also on video during the 3 p.m. hour. And I'm capturing also again at 6 p.m. outside of my hotel where the sun is not remaining over OVITT in Ontario at one address from morning until evening, where the Ontario police, the city of Ontario, including the demons of corrupt airlines that sacrifice American citizens, is what you're picking up from that. But they're also engaging what is impossible to be the sun outside of my hotel room window in San Diego, California. And on this day in 2024, I left that hotel and on the freeway encountering Bakersfield County Sheriff that are gang stalking on the roads and the highways. This is the terrorism and the psychological torture that the entity is engaging in, and this is the entity that stole my property, stole evidence, and the entity is going to be facing federal prison. This is the criminal system that Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks have solicited, and they're both going to federal prison. This is P.O.C.
Alrighty, you are listening to, if you could, I had to put the phone in my pocket because I was blocking the camera anyway, but this is podcast documentation, and you're listening to the plane activity. You're listening to me narrate. Suppose you drive is stalking in the path with light activity. They're monitoring on my device, so they're aware that I downloaded that video, and hence anticipating documentation, getting in position for light activity. The entity is engaging what is gang stalking with the government that was stalking by helicopter, and the library is filled with a bunch of demons that are gang stalking, including by manning the bathroom door like a sex offender. That's a stalker monitoring a woman's vagina on behalf of the entity, and it is government action. This is P.O.C. All right, the entity is maintaining a stalker inside of that private space as well. This is the entity that's both obsessed and also is engaging what is criminal conduct and furtherance of murder for the purpose, for the sexually violent purpose of engaging in that P.O.C. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct. That's activity creation. That's an activity creation of a demon that seems to know what I'm talking about, not a stranger. That's P.O.C. All right, this is the reality of the demons that lose control. That's what the helicopter activity was about, the loss of control. And this is a demon that's engaging in stalking in a bathroom. That's P.O.C. The demon is assuming that I'm talking about them. The demon is assuming that I'm referring to anything that has anything remotely close to do with them, while the entity is in doing so under a fake sun. These are not strangers, and these are also not human beings. These are demon-possessed people. And the loss of control is also exhibited through stalking by helicopter, which I documented from 9:53 a.m. until 10:17 a.m., where all the demons are filling the bathroom, stalking in the path, engaging in the egregious sexual violence of monitoring my vagina, which the sex offender has been doing for years. This is activity creation of a demon-possessed person, okay, surrounding in the path. And this is what Bakersfield is not under. Bakersfield County Sheriff is engaging in the pattern of conduct. And that's also how you know that this is a demon. That's also how you know that this is a demon and that this is somebody that's engaging in state surveillance in that environment that is a whole illusion, speaking to the mentally ill who are pedophiles, who are stalking in bathrooms, and who are very much aware of who I am and what it is that I'm discussing. Psychopaths are what you're encountering when they're looking perplexed as they're being documented, caught red-handed. And then that mental illness is fully exposed in all of its reality when the demons lose control and they engage in stalking in helicopter, flying in circles for over 15 minutes, okay? That's the P.O.C. This is mental illness, so this is what you're not going to be distracted by. It's activity. It's relevant positioning, light activity, and audible activity. This is the entity that's threatening the life. This is the entity that stole my property. This is the entity that does so stalking in the middle of the night. This is what's animating the Ontario Police Department. Mental instability, demon possession, serious hostility while the demons are being exposed. Understand that that's a threat to your life, and these are the demons that commit murder. This is a murderer that's gang stalking. Murder is committed as a government system. All right, and the demons are very much hostile while I expose it. This is what Tracy Banks actually has. This is animosity and hostility. She's a demon, and she's very much hostile while her conspiracy to murder me and not be exposed for it has failed. It's the same with her sex partner, Jason Fields. They're both going to federal prison. You need to understand that in the same way that this is a third party speaking as the state, this is a demon speaking as an entity. That's what you need to understand that. Okay, it's currently 1:43 p.m. This is sexual violence. This is P.O.C.
P.O.C. inside of the private space, and pay attention, run the tape back, because you'll hear this demon chime right into the conversation when I'm not addressing them. I'm not even talking, minding my business. As far as somebody that's minding their business and is not a demon-possessed gang stalker, is not even chiming in or paying attention. It's certainly not responding. What are you responding to? There was no question. This is speaking to knowledge about the substance of that which I'm speaking. But you already know that because of the fake sun and the engineered light and the stalking by the Ontario Police Department. These are the sex offenders that are obsessed with my vagina. They're obsessed. These are homosexuals that are presenting as heterosexual women, stalking me in the bathroom. And it's the same with the males that are gang stalking with the gang stalking women. That's P.O.C. Alrighty? 1:43 p.m. And the demons that are gang stalking, again, that we're engaged in monitoring this morning, because they're going to federal prison and they're also going to be subject to what is a prosecution for the sex offense of gang stalking. This is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct with a level of impunity which is relevant to a federal prosecution for an unlawful threat to your life. This is the entity that's gang stalking and threatening you through the people of the state who are stalking you in bathrooms. And also verbalizing threats. You're going to play this tape back because the state is speaking, as well as what is a demonic entity is speaking as well. And this is the mental illness behind the threat of the government stalking you, including in bathrooms. This is the Ontario Police being disbanded for this. All right, and the Ontario Police are, again, understand that this is both the government speaking and it's also a demonic entity speaking. And Jason Fields and Tracy Banks is going to federal prison for this. Understand that. The fake sun that's over 215 North Euclid Avenue, 215 West C Street, which is this venue. You're understanding the context of everything. This is actually stalking, surveillance, and it's happening in the bathroom. And the entity is also engaging in that while Bakersfield current Sheriff's Department are stalking, understanding that environment, which is supernatural. And that is, again, occurring amongst what is a demonic entity, all right? Hence the behavior of the third party that you're listening to in the background, okay? That's P.O.C. That's the entity that's engaged in what is activity creation, all right? That's the entity that's engaged in what is talking. Stalking by helicopters, denying that they're stalking you. This is the coward that is engaging in what is activity creation while they are very much fearful of me. That's why they're stalking in helicopters. This is psychopathic conduct. That's what you're listening to. That's the gibberish. That's the ongoing utterances of a mentally ill person. And this is what the entity wants to project onto the targeted individual. You hear this person that's angry, very hostile, cussing at me, making violent threats. This is the spirit that is residing in the gang stalker, Mickey, who is smiling from ear to ear while she is monitoring my vagina in the bathroom and doubling as an employee at the venue. You need to understand that. Regardless of the race, regardless of the age, the entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct, and that mental illness is shared by the demons who are stalking under the fake sun. And the evidence is showing that Bakersfield Sheriff's Department are stalking under the fake sun, which is giving you ongoing corroborating evidence that you don't already need because the prosecution of the government is already complete. The Ontario Police Department are going to be disbanded for the terrorism that they engaged in on video all over the internet. It's now published with the intent to obstruct justice because they're merely mad, which you can hear in this demon's voice, okay? The people of the state are monitoring, so pay attention to the P.O.C. while I capture the screen recording exposing the rest of the state. It's August 21st, it's 1:27 p.m. These are what the demons are doing all the time, which is stalking. 8VMX292 was the entity that was gang stalking in the same manner at 9:59, 10 a.m. And your recognition of that is the supernatural where the fake sun is over me and the state's criminal pattern of conduct stalking in planes. You see Southwest Airlines pacing, flying over U.S.C, the Ontario Police, stalking in helicopters, okay, for 17 minutes, 18 minutes today, more than 18 minutes actually. And suppose you drive is engaging in the pattern of conduct of maintaining flashing light in that engineered environment. This is that pattern of conduct that is underway where I am at the same time in Bakersfield on the roads and the highways where the sun would not be in the same position, not only at the same address, but this is showing you what the city of Ontario is engaging in. You also know that because the Ontario Police provided an exposition of criminal monitoring where the city of Ontario, Alan D. WAPNER, and Amazon Prime and every other airline are gang stalking. And these are demons who are monitoring. And this is the pattern of conduct that's underway at the same time, at the same place, which is impossible to occur with regard to the sun that's reflecting off of her windshield. The sun that's over my head could not possibly be the sun that I'm documenting. I'm holding more than one phone, forgive me, as I am
at the same time on this day in 2024 in Bakersfield, California. So this is the P.O.C. while you're seeing Alan D. WAPNER engaging in terrorism. This is what they were doing with the Ontario police this morning. These are the demons that are monitoring my vagina. This is the sex offense. This is the terrorism, psychological torture, 6FCV 8589, while the public corruption is being exposed. And these are demons that are in this supernatural environment. It's demonic. Demons are exceedingly hostile. That's why that demon flying the helicopter followed me to this entrance based on hostility to the evidence that they are criminally keeping under surveillance, including in the environment. That's what Suppose You Drive is engaging in. That's a corrupt business, and that's a prosecution. This is what Bakersfield is engaging in on the same time, at the same time on this same day in 2024.
Called a coward, trying to cover up the license plate while they're group stalking. Those are the demons that are group stalking as the state, and doing so. This is the San Diego freeway that I'm on. This is still San Diego County. So you have what is already the San Diego Sheriff's Department and the San Diego Police Department. You saw Oceanside crossing path, and the entity is engaging the same P.O.C. and speeding by.
So let me remind you so you can see this from the beginning.
This is crossing path. This is the state. License plate. Paper plate, K9 stay back. That's called a coward.
That's Bakersfield.
Trying to cover up the license
Bakersfield
plate
is gang
while they're
stalking
group
in the
stalking.
specific environment.
Those are the demons that are group stalking as the state.
The fake sun is over me while this demon is monitoring. That's stalking by the government, not a private citizen. And this is not this is not private property, and this is not again a business that's exercising any property rights. The government is maintaining surveillance through the people who are obsessively monitoring, doing so of all races, all ages, and they're doing so in concert with the government that you saw directly proving that by stalking, incessantly using helicopters, specifically targeting me with regard to hostility, theft of my property by this entity, based on hostility to the documentation that I'm publishing on the internet. And this is the shared pattern of conduct by Bakersfield while I'm in San Diego County, where the fake sun is remaining over the sunroof of my car when I'm on the roads and the highways in motion, versus remaining stationary at the same address where I was at this morning, where the government is engaged in gang stalking. So let me
Doing so, this is the San Diego freeway that I'm on. This is still San Diego County. So you have what is already the San Diego Sheriff's Department and the San Diego Police Department. You saw Oceanside crossing path, and the entity is engaging the same P.O.C. and speeding by with a paper plate that's blowing in the wind. So that I'm laughing not because it's actually funny. I'm laughing because it's so pathetic. They engage in this crime that they're supposed to be so mighty and terrorizing people, and people are reasonably fearful of it. But I am confronting it and I'm prosecuting it, and I find cowards everywhere that I go. I find cowards everywhere that I go, and it's pathetic. Group stalking with the state, nonetheless. This is federal prison. License plate 9DFY785. They are going to federal prison. License plate. Group stalking with the state, that's a coward hiding their license plate while the people of the state are going to federal prison. License plate 17VW804, 9DQY439, and that's light activity. You can see the fake sun through the rear windshield. License plate 9LDT999. They're going to federal prison, and you don't have a legal argument. This is group stalking, and if you don't want the demons, if you don't want to go directly to federal prison, then I suggest you tell these demons to stand down because they're getting each other in trouble. They're going to federal prison. License plate, this is a third party group stalker with a demon that crossed path with a paper plate, and he's going to federal prison. 88561L3. Driving a commercial vehicle, BK.com. 9HCD797.
All right, these are the people of the state that are gang stalking in the same manner that you see here at OVITT Family Community Library, where surveillance is underway inside of that library, specifically monitoring me, stalking, that is keeping me under surveillance in the bathroom, pursuant to my genitalia, pursuant to private activity, which the government that is stalking at that library using helicopter is necessarily engaging in that, including in the bathroom, by the way. But the entity is engaging in the elements of monitoring in the bathroom. License plate 8GYR651, a sex offender, 9JOE163, a sex offender, and they're intentionally engaging in the pattern of conduct with this level of impunity. They do so with the government that's engaging what is providing evidence against them, because the people of the state are going to be prosecuted like the state directly. Paul Leon is stalking under a fake sun and calling himself a mayor, where the fake sun is over me in San Diego County. The entity is maintaining flights that are nothing having anything to do with arrivals and departures published on the Ontario International website, where Amazon Prime is hovering over this senior citizen complex, and the fake sun is over the same entrance as it followed me to this entrance this morning. That was at 10 o'clock, 10:17 to be precise. This is the P.O.C. and this is the entity that's keeping this fake sun over me me while I'm on the roads and the highways traveling about on this day in 2024. And the entity kept the fake sun over me in San Diego, over at Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott. The entity kept the fake sun over me while I left that venue, and keeps the fake sun over me, which is the identification of a crime scene where there's no private activity. And the government confirmed that because you saw them engaging in what is stalking, heavily stalking this morning. And let's revisit what the entity is doing under the fake sun. Stalking with impunity that is relevant to what everybody else is doing in that specific environment. Terrorism.
The Ontario police follow. There's no question. They're stalking me in helicopter flying in circles around me. They're flying over there when I was sitting by the clock. The fake sun's not over there anymore either. They are stalking, flying in circles around me while the fake sun is moving as I move. That's the OVITT Family Community Library that committed kidnapping. An act of hostility, they engage in kidnapping while they're stalking, and you prove that, and the psychopath comes out, okay? It's triggered, and the entity lacks self-control, and that's the federal government's criminal conduct. 8 HDF 458 is stalked with the possible light, stalked with the Ontario police every day, like I'm documenting. That's P.O.C. following as I go. So does the fake sun. And it's still here after 6 p.m. where that department is engaged in gang stalking. P.O.C. These are psychopaths. This is the public corruption that they're engaging in. Psychopaths that are stalking in furtherance of murder, doing so while a fake sun remains over this venue, and a bunch of demons are stalking with noise. As I'm documenting inside of the venue, they're stalking in the bathroom, monitoring my vagina, and the entity is stalking with a helicopter. This is documented terrorism and psychological torture.
All right, the entity follows me to the entrance, and the fake sun is in the same position that it was this morning, okay? This is the P.O.C. of what is domestic terrorism and psychological torture, and I'm at the same location walking toward the same entrance, and understand everybody that is gang stalking is doing so with knowledge of being documented. You need to know that minor children are engaged in federal group stalking monitoring with the adults that they're acting with, and this is the government that's engaged in what is activity creation. They're all walking in engineer light, and the adults that are demons that are gang stalking with the government, engaging in public corruption, do so while you know the fake sun is over me in San Diego County, using the faces of minor children, which is not any innocence whatsoever. That's the malice behind the entity that are pedophiles engaging in gang stalking. This is the same violence that children are subject to when they're gang stalking with the people of the state. The people of the state and the government, including the Ontario Police Department, these are pedophiles that are engaging in the sex trafficking system of children that they're also gang stalking with under a fake sun that's at the same exact address that I was at this morning while the Ontario police were terrorizing me with all these demons who are monitoring. This is not walking around, this is monitoring. They're intentionally engaging in activity creation. That's why the demons are pacing under a fake sun that's over my vehicle that's in motion, as opposed to staying at a building that is stationary, and the entities engaging in the evidence of surveillance in addition to the helicopter activity, the hallmark of gang stalking in California. All right, that's P.O.C. The entities monitoring while you're hearing that amplified train, and the demons are engaged in what is monitoring my vagina. That's the sexual violence. They're engaged in what is molestation with impossible light. They're walking with impossible light, meaning multiple shadows, which is not the product of light fixtures in the ceiling. They're monitoring inside of the venue and keeping engineer light. So let me show you again the ongoing maintenance of the environment inside of the library. This is the entity that's keeping engineer light. The fake sun, if that's the sun in Bakersfield, while I'm on the freeway, and it's over the roof of my car, and while I'm on the freeway driving around, and I'm on the same day at the same time at Alvarado Gardens, at OVITT Family Community Library, where I was this morning at 10 o'clock, not only would this not be sunlight based on just looking at the present location where I'm at. The sun doesn't sit for hours anywhere all day long. But not only that, this isn't sunlight. This is what I'm telling you about, the engineered environment where the demons are stalking, creating what is an illusion. And that illusion is serving to prosecute the government. EF 738B3. All right, that's a government actor with paper plates. Gang stalking with a white van and paper plates. The government that's gang stalking uses a lot of those types of vehicles while they're anticipating documentation. This is the environment where the OVITT Family Community Library is engaged in criminal surveillance as a population coming in, sharing in what is gang stalking, which is only committed in furtherance of murder. And this is a shared pattern of conduct by the San Diego Police Department, the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. Remember, at 1 o'clock yesterday, I am remaining at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The fake sun is in the same position in its zenith where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking. The fake sun's over me at the San Diego Police Department at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But you're looking at the evidence of the fake sun being here from 10 in the morning, 10:17, while the Ontario police are stalking. Prime Air, Amazon Prime is gang stalking. Southwest Airlines is gang stalking. The Ontario police stalking in helicopter with the fake sun. But at 1 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, which was August 20th, the fake sun is in the same position over me. That's time of year analysis, time of day analysis, when you're looking at the predators that gang stalk with children, and they're also the pedophiles that sexually violate those children that they put on camera so that you see the criminal monitoring, the public corruption that the government is incentivizing with minor children, because that's the same elements of monitoring. While they chose to engage in the gang stalking conduct, criminal surveillance, domestic terrorism, and psychological torture with minor children, okay? These are psychopaths that are all monitoring. And that's what, again, the entity is doing so under a sun that's not going to be over the San Diego Police Department. San Diego police are engaged in gang stalking, and that's why they were stalking by helicopter at my hotel room, which is also on video during the 3 p.m. hour. And I'm capturing also again at 6 p.m. outside of my hotel where the sun is not remaining over OVIT in Ontario at one address from morning until evening, where the Ontario police, the city of Ontario, including the demons of corrupt airlines that sacrifice American citizens, is what you're picking up from that. But they're also engaging what is impossible to be the sun outside of my hotel window in San Diego, California. And on this day in 2024, I left that hotel and on the freeway encountering Bakersfield County Sheriff that are gang stalking on the roads and the highways. This is the terrorism and the psychological torture that the entity is engaging in, and this is the entity that stole my property, stole evidence, and the entity is going to be facing federal prison. This is the criminal system that Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks have solicited, and they're both going to federal prison. This is P.O.C.
Okay, that is a very severely mentally disturbed person, and you need to understand that it starts in the spirit, in the spiritual realm. That's a demonic spirit, and that is what is speaking out of that person. That is what is influencing the behavior. It is the same when you witness the maniacal behavior of engaging in harassing and terrorizing and stalking someone using a helicopter. The difference is that this demon is stalking me inside of the bathroom, and the demons of the Ontario police are also stalking as an entity inside of the bathroom, but they have access to helicopters, and they wear uniforms, and they use badges and bear weapons while that mental illness is cloaked behind that. That's a threat to the public. That's surveillance, not law enforcement. And that is mental instability that is unchecked. Okay, the entity is engaging what is stalking, and you play this tape back and you will hear that demon responding to me when I'm not asking any questions or addressing. And there is no reasonable basis to engage in responding to that which is not addressed to you. Why would you even assume that? And it's not a response as in, huh? What are you talking about? It's a direct response regarding the substance of what I'm talking about. You already know this. This is what I've told you already. You know that already from the fake sun. And I gave you another example because what Bakersfield Sheriff's Department is doing under a fake sun on the freeway in San Diego County on this day at the same time. So this is letting you know the African-American male, he is monitoring my vagina, and he's getting close to the bathroom to make sure that somebody is there, he, stalker, entity, a government, is present to cross my path. An engineered light that's not even the product of the sun, that's both over the San Diego County Freeway and the OVITT Family Community Library at the same time. That would not be the sun. That's over the library at 10:17 and still over the library at 25 in the afternoon. The entities engage in obvious conduct, and these are the demons that specifically stole my property this morning with an intent to harass, terrorize, threaten, psychologically torture, and oppress. This is the entity that's engaged in this pattern of conduct for a prolonged period. And Jason Isaac Fields in particular, this is a coward that is not engaging in an investigation, and he never was. He's been engaged in targeting me for years, and the federal government needs to know the truth behind what Jason Isaac Fields has committed versus what Jason Isaac Fields has conveyed, has communicated about what he's committed. And it was gang stalking that was cloaked in the form of what is terrorism, domestic terrorism. And every police department keeping me under surveillance in every city that I'm located, including where I was living in Upland, California, including where I was living in Los Angeles, California, including in every hotel that I traveled to after moving out of my apartment because I was being targeted at work in Los Angeles of 2024, July of 2024. The Ontario Police Department to date engaged in that ongoing ceaseless system which Jason Isaac Fields remains a part of. Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, they are the demonic duo that have solicited this because they first sought out to steal my property as though there's some rich, wealthy couple, and they're going to have me killed in the process of it so that it's never known and so that it would never be suspected, while they engage in what is an ongoing campaign against my reputation. And then ongoing gang stalking is simultaneously working toward kidnapping and murder, and then they get away with my property and no one knows anything about it. However, I've been documenting the pattern of conduct since 2018. That's what's been going on the whole time. The entity is suppressing that with the intent to obstruct justice, meaning suppressing it while still trying to hurry up and get me offed, okay? By psychopaths like who you hear stalking me in a bathroom. Oh, she's coming, let me get in position. This is what all the demons are doing. You're looking at psychopathic conduct, mental illness, in other words, that's not hidden. Where people who are murderers, people who are pedophiles, people who are deranged, who will hurt you for no reason, because merely the demonic spirits in them tell them to, and you don't know who they are, that's something that you need to be aware of. That spirit is what is gang stalking. And it's public corruption. And it's a sex offender using children, gang stalking on camera, smiling, holding hands with those kids. You saw that on video. Look at it again, because that is a maniacal psychopath. That's a pedophile. That is a co-conspirator to murder, specifically targeting me, and doing so hiding behind children. The same children that they sexually violate as a part of the sex cult culture that is gang stalking. It's 1:53 p.m. This is documentation of bathroom monitoring. You will see images of the sex offenders gang stalking at OVITT Family Community Library. This is P.O.C. 2:28 p.m. The entity that is under the same environment, which is impossible, speaking to monitoring that's underway, pursuant to the ongoing harassment that the entity is engaging in. They're all stalking, seated around, monitoring in the path inside of the library, where I'm sitting in a cubicle covered in engineer light. Demons are what you hear in the background. That's monitoring. It's noise creation pursuant to monitoring on my device. And the demons are creating a loud boom, boom, boom. And I just want to be clear, that's monitoring pursuant to my accessing my Google account. This is criminal monitoring in violation of Title 18, the same thing that the Ontario police were doing when they were flying in circles over helicopter as I'm at this venue. And everybody inside of the venue is engaging in that same criminal conduct. And it is psychopathic, just like what you heard inside of the restroom, where that entity was speaking as one. They are all sharing that mental illness. They're all sharing that criminal pattern of conduct. They're all sharing knowledge about what it is that I'm doing and talking about, while they're psychopaths sitting around like they're doing anything else. P.O.C. It's 2:29 p.m. Okay, 2:34 p.m. I just want to document federal stalking underway at the venue of the OVITT Family Community Library, proven by the specific environment and the pattern of conduct, which includes gang stalking by the Ontario Police Department and the Ontario International Airport and the people of the state. The entity is monitoring on my device in the way that I've documented before, blocking the ability to create a Google account requiring a phone number, which is a superficial means of obstruction. You don't need a phone number in order to create a Google account. And the entity is using that to, and even when you put in a phone number, it's again being blocked, stating that the phone number has been used too many times. This is monitoring. This is Title 18 federal stalking conduct monitoring, and they're sitting around with the boom, boom, boom noises, engaging in monitoring conduct. The ruffling in the background, which you heard before, that's monitoring conduct. They're getting up and out of their seats, walking around with multiple shadows. You see the light activity, that's monitoring conduct. Maintaining phone conversations, engaging in laughter. They're pacing around, walking through around in the library. They're all monitoring me. All of it, and everything outside, like I show you, is pursuant to monitoring me. And this is criminal obstruction in the same way that a gang stalking police officer or police department is engaging in obstruction when they are stalking you and harassing and terrorizing you with a helicopter, which they're sharing in the same elements of monitoring. They're just doing it through the terrorizing means of using a helicopter, okay? None of these dunces have helicopters, so they sit around stalking with noise, amplified noise inside of the venue, while they sit under a fake sun that's over the address where it was this morning at 10 in the morning, and they all sit around acting like they can read, okay? This is P.O.C. It's 2:35, and they're obsessively trying to obstruct the creation of Google accounts. This is that which they are doing in furtherance of murder. Tracy Banks and Jason Eisenfield are going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. (3:33 p.m.) These are the demons that are monitoring, maintaining audible and light activity while they are all stalking in a library, pursuant to what I'm doing on my device. And this is obsession with trying to stop from creating another Google account. So there's a superficial barrier, meaning it's not a real blockage to create a Google account, but the entity that is monitoring is creating a requirement to put in a phone number. And when I enter my phone number, it's stating that I've documented this tons of times before. LA was doing the same thing. It states that the phone number has been used too much. I just used that phone number for the first time. That's why. So since I used it, now it's blocked. And so I took a picture of that. This is monitoring, and all these demons, all this noise you hear, they're monitoring. And this is very demonic. As I turn the phone off and restart it, then you have the ongoing noise. It's like a bunch of cockroaches that just begin crawling all around. They're all in engineer light monitoring my phone. This is P.O.C. at OVITT Family, the community of demons that are stalking in the library. P.O.C. It is currently 3:58 p.m. I just want to clarify
and confirm. The entity is indeed engaged in monitoring. This is already known. This is documentation of all of the criminal tactics intended to obstruct justice. And remember, the entity is engaging in this all because they're trying to get away with murdering somebody. They're trying to get away with theft that this government has already committed. They're trying to get away with it when I already have evidence that is already sufficient as it stands. So they're just on this day, and again, every day, engaging in that ongoing criminal endeavor. And I want to be clear, it's currently 3:59 p.m. and I'm capturing images of what is, again, the ability, seamless ability to create a Google account. I've documented this and maneuvered around it time and time again. And the state of California is engaged in monitoring on the internet, doing so with the intent to obstruct justice. And when it comes to myself, the prosecutor that is publishing evidence on the internet, the entity is interfering with the operation of internet. That's not an actual obstruction. Well, it's not an actual step in creating a Google account. Okay, it's based on the fact that I'm on Ontario Wi-Fi, where the city of Ontario, the same one that was terrorizing me by helicopter, and terrorizing by commercial plane, and terrorizing inside of this library, ongoing, amplified, boom, 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 pursuant to the demonic. Let me be clear, that loud booming noise is illustrative of the mental illness that you can hear by the demon stalking in the bathroom, that you could see by the demon stalking in helicopter, that you can hear and witness by the demon stalking me wearing Ontario police uniforms, that you can see and witness through the impossible light activity. These are psychopaths. This is a spirit. And the entity is desperately trying to obstruct justice. Google does not require a phone number to create a Google account. It is a method of monitoring, meaning that while they're monitoring on the venue of the internet, while they're engaged in federal stalking, surveillance is underway on the internet. That's what the term monitoring means. It is in reference to. The entity is creating a superficial block. That superficial block it's a very real block, but it's superficial in that Google does not require that. Pursuant to the criminal surveillance that the city of Ontario was engaging in on the Wi-Fi network, Ontario Wi-Fi, that's creating it. When I create the same account, going through the same steps, using my own phone, using my own internet network, it's a seamless creation, and I've documented this and shown this time and time again. The demons that are sitting around stalking inside of the library, these are all psychopaths. They're all demons. They're all stalking. They're all engaged in movement, noise creation, movement, and all around in the engineer light, while they're monitoring pursuant to what is an ongoing concerted effort to obstruct a Google account creation. And the bigger picture is that that's where evidence is stored, and that's where evidence is stored, where that prosecution pursuant to a repository of evidence is collected for everyone to witness. The entity is engaging in that, and that's a threat to your life, okay? The entity is doing so while they're stalking me from place to place, following me everywhere, including in the bathroom where you heard the demon speak as an entity. They all share that mental illness that you heard in that bathroom. That's what's sitting around stalking, making noise and engineer light. Okay, Ontario Wi-Fi. The city of Ontario is engaging in federal stalking on the Ontario Wi-Fi network. That's criminal obstruction of justice. This is Paul Leon. This is the city of Ontario. Alan D. Wapner, Mike LORENZ, Michael GERKEN, the demons that are gang stalking using their cell phones. They're all engaged in an ongoing obsessive group effort to stop me from making a Google account. It's pathetic. As pathetic as using a very expensive means of stalking me. Thousands of dollars was wasted on what you saw in multiple videos of flying in circles over me in a helicopter. That's what the city of Ontario utilized resources for, to protect a terrorist, a sex offender, a psychopath like Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks, who doesn't even pay her taxes. She's a criminal. She steals other people's identities. This is the entity that's engaged in criminal conduct to act in concert with demons like that. They're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It's 4:02 p.m.
All right, it's 6:02 p.m. The fake sun is nowhere near San Diego at any point today because the fake sun is still at the same OVITT Family Community Library. I'm going to document the entity that is engaging in a sex offense on behalf of the Ontario Police, who you saw stalking in helicopter for over 20 minutes and greeted me, followed me, escorted me by helicopter to the entrance of the same library where I'm showing you the fake sun. And these are all demons that just engaged in what is surveillance of my vagina in the bathroom. 7UVU993, and this is perspective. This is the evidence of what the Bakersfield police are doing on this day in 2024 when I'm on the San Diego County Freeway and the fake sun's over my sunroof. 9TVJ800, 9JKN876. USPS is gang stalking vehicle 3340007, 8NOK663. They are all gang stalking with the Ontario Police. Just want to be clear. 8PHU196, 8NHR045. These are all pedophiles engaging in the monitoring of the vagina. The genitalia of an American citizen is in conformity with the sex offense to children, pedophilia. 25032P1, 7RCK848.
7CHN 722. The Ontario Police Department are being disbanded while they are gang stalking in the same way that Bakersfield police are gang stalking me under the fake sun on this day in 2024 on the roads and the highways. That's a threat to my life while I'm driving a dangerous machine. The demons that you see stalking with light, this is what I'm documenting inside of the venue. Monitoring with the police, engaging in a sex offense with a child is 6UOL553. And again, USPS is a part of the pattern of conduct. These are the demons that engage in stealing my mail, keeping my mail, while the entity is stealing property, remaining engaged in the P.O.C. while not getting any information about court hearings, where Jason Fields and Tracy Banks and the entity are engaged in that targeting system. USPS is a gang stalker. It's a part of the pattern of conduct that the court is engaging in as well. While the entity is stalking by helicopter a corrupt police department, that's the same entity that's engaging in what is kidnapping with the intent to obstruct justice, while parties like USPS are blocking mail so that I don't find out anything about court hearings pertaining to property that belongs to me, that this entity, including the demons that I'm documenting gang stalking, like the Ontario Police Department, like these sex offenders, all engaging in surveillance, all these demons monitoring. Remember, everybody in 320 North Euclid Avenue, that apartment complex is monitoring my vagina. The Ontario Town Square, Mayor Paul Leon, the same venue where the fake sun is still hitting, he's still sitting right here. He's monitoring my vagina. This is the reality as I'm giving you what is a big picture analysis regarding the massive sex offense that's underway, regarding the ongoing stalking by a population that's underway, and a fake sun is never possibly in San Diego County on the freeway over anybody's sunroof or any other place, because there's only one sun in the natural environment. But that's not the environment where the Ontario police are stalking. The Ontario police are demons who are also psychopathic, including stalking in helicopter right now when it is 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 hours earlier under the same fake sun, and I'm documenting criminal conduct on behalf of the people who are subject to federal prison, and they still engage in stalking by helicopter, incriminating them. While the mayor's office is right here, I'm looking at the mayor's office, who is going to be removed from office for that conduct, for gang stalking. License 8ZCY803, stalking. Crossing path right now, monitoring with the same police. All right, and the entity is doing so pursuant to knowledge of my documentation. The demon that you see at the entrance monitoring with minor children, these are pedophiles that use children to engage in the sex offensive gang stalking. They also engage in sexual violence against children. They're pedophiles who are engaging in the sex offense of federal group stalking and monitoring with a gang member. That is the Ontario Police Department, okay? The entire state of California is engaged in gang stalking. And the fake sun and engineer light is what they all are walking in and under while they all pace into the venue of the OVITT Family Community Library as I walk outside after they all engaged in what is that ritual of worshiping, stalking, monitoring, invading privacy together as an entity that's using communication devices, also obsessively maintaining surveillance and also monitoring. These are demons in the spirit who are gratiated by that sexual perversion. Okay, they're psychopaths. It is currently, again, 6:06 p.m. at 215 East C Street where the fake sun and stalking by helicopter remains. And Bakersfield police are engaged in gang stalking, which I already proved, which I already proved by the entity gang stalking under the fake sun in the specific environment. You are further aware of that while the entity is stalking by the Ontario police under a fake sun that's set over one building all day long, which is the P.O.C. I'm capturing every day, which I've captured for several years. And this is speaking to what LAPD is doing, Kern County Sheriff's Department, Orange County Sheriff's Department, the Costa Mesa Police Department, the Pasadena Police Department, the Arcadia, Monrovia Police Department, the Fontana Police Department, the Chino Police Department, the Rancho Cucamonga Police Department, which is San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. The entity is gang stalking with the Rialto Police Department, engaging in kidnapping in 2020 with Lisa Rogan at the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, based on the kidnapping by the same Ontario Police Department that is still free to engage in gang stalking in the way in which I just documented. The entity sounding helicopter activity, play the tape back because you'll hear the helicopter. That's a means of intentional means of activity creation. It's not only demonic, they're engaging in the ritual of audible activity, light activity, relevant positioning. They're all pacing, monitoring. It's also relevant to what is surveillance stalking, and doing so at the moment that I am documenting the people. So that's supposed to be harassment and threatening conduct that's supposed to stop me, deter me from enforcing my rights about gang members monitoring my vagina. That's relevant against the case of the entity, some of whom I just documented by license plate. But the entity is engaging in sexual violence through the thousands, while a fake sin remains over the demons who are not a community. They're gang members. It's a group of demons, a large group of demons that are gang stalking, calling themselves a family community library. This is P.O.C. It's 6:08 p.m. Ongoing surveillance inside of the library as you walk through and everybody's sitting in. They're maintaining presence on behalf of the gang stalker that is the city of Ontario. Hi.
Hello.
Do you have any disinfectant wipes?
I
2 documents, please?
You know how many you would like?
Just 2. Thank you. What time do you guys close today?
Today,
9?
9. Yeah.
Tomorrow is Friday, which is 6,
6,
right?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Sounds around 6:10 p.m. All right, thank you. Have a good night. All right, P.O.C. Understand occupancy. The people that are inside of the building are doing so. This is the entity that's just shuffling, cycling presence. It's surveillance. It is aided by the employees, but the entity is getting help with regard to obsessive presence in the path, light activity, and relevant positioning. That is making sure that at all times, in all places, at every moment, including the bathroom, presence is there. Okay, these are demons that are monitoring. And it's an obsessive system, and this is the entity engaging in that. That's the context regarding why engineer light is present, why a fake sun would be over a building all day long, in direct contravention of nature and common sense, science, and logic. And then you are understanding what are demons who are also mentally ill, who become unhinged when their secrecy is gone. By the way, the secrecy has been gone for years. I documented very damning evidence of demons going to federal prison, and also the stalking by helicopter confirms that C. Hazelwood and Owens are going to federal prison, and so is the demonic duo gang stalking this morning at 6:59 a.m. They're going to federal prison. It's P.O.C. It's currently 6:11 p.m. (9 FWE 979) at 529 Euclid Avenue. And the Euclid 1 food store at the same intersection of what would be Sunkist and Euclid. The entity stalking by light activity on both ends of the street at Park and Euclid. Those demons are very much aware. They're stalking in the path, the same behavioral pattern while the government flies over the street. This is the impoverished community, gang stalking all the same. The entity is engaging in what is stalking with the government, flying, hovering over that street and over my head in doing so amongst the impossible light, and the license plates will be included in this documentation. This is relevant for what is blowing the whistle to all federal agencies, all the means whereby the gang stalking population shall be dealt with under federal law, how domestic terrorists shall be dealt with under federal law, and they fall into many, many categories, including the gang stalking immigrant population. It's currently 8:47 p.m. Stalking 04539K2. Oh no, go ahead. Waiting, stalking at 615 North Euclid Avenue, Juan Pollo. That's also gang stalking. More homosexual women waiting to touch me while they're stalking women, lurking in the middle of the night. Obsessed with me. Stalking is of obsession. These are sexually perverted demons. This is demon possession. It's a Jezebel spirit. Lusting, obsessing, addicted to the sexual idea of me while they are stalking. It's not different, and it's not based on gender. And then when you're getting into the entity that's doing this with males and females, you have the entity that's engaging in homosexual conduct. That's the P.O.C. though. These are demons, and in the same way demons do not have races. They don't have races and ages. They use people of all races and ages, and you're going to prosecute accordingly. It is equal opportunity with regard to a federal prosecution license. 7 ZLC 314. ARCO is gang stalking. All right? ARCO on Euclid Avenue. I've documented all these venues. License 08446W3, 6ABX742, 8H41686, 8JUS 915, 7J41705. 7JTZ166. Federal stalking. Doing the due diligence of making sure they keep light in the path, presence all around, and what is that presence on behalf of the government? That's stalking in planes and helicopters, just like the Ontario Police put on display again, all over X, all over YouTube, and all over the internet, which is including my website, 7NXU566 POC. It's 8:48 p.m. All right, gang stalking at 729 North Euclid, 711, 9PYH590. gang stalking by coming out of the door like he's looking for something. This is the gang stalking immigrants that are working at this 7-Eleven. License 9NYV446 and 9NLC822. Stalking in the path with demons lurking on the side street. Aiming light. This is mental illness that's shared by a population engaging in the same pattern. Where the government is stalking, where the entity keeps a fake son, you're looking at that pattern of what is demented behavior. And it is including not only stalking somebody that you don't know, not that it's okay to stalk somebody that you do know, by the way, but stalking somebody that you don't know at that, and doing so in the absurd manner such as stalking with light, which is supposed to be something that nobody is recognizing is happening. All right, everybody just lurks in the dark, aiming light that's not even naturally occurring, while the government flies over by planes and helicopters, and the entity has all manner, of amplification of audible activity under things like a fake sun and a fake moon. All right, that's the demon possessed, okay? And I want to be clear, the gang stalkers are of all races, okay? It's P.O.C, it's 8:50 p.m. 7-Eleven is gang stalking. That's why every 7-Eleven I go to, I'm capturing the pattern of conduct. P.O.C. Hold on, since we're just waiting. The demons he's engaging in monitoring, walking in and out of the store based on my walking into the front of the store, walking to the back of the store. Remember when I was here last time, the Ontario police is gang stalking with 7-Eleven, driving through the parking lot. You have the federal government coming in, bearing weapons, gang stalking, going into the freezer section, driving a Tesla, trying to rear out of the parking lot because he didn't want me to get his license plate. I got it anyway. 86065Y3, the entity stalking. There's a history of harassment and targeting at this 7-Eleven as well, flying over my head at this storefront, gang stalking up and down this street, which I documented by helicopter. And the demon that is stalking in the path that I took a picture of is now gang stalking by coming into the parking lot after engaging in what is surveying it, I suppose, license DE58L09. That's a paper plate, and this demon is pacing. Still, again, exhibiting more mental illness, the pacing conduct, and the stalking with light. All right, and the stalking of a stranger. And these are predators that are stalking a woman together. Homosexuals, women that are stalking me together. All right, couples that are stalking me together. All right, this is the entity that's mentally ill. P.O.C. HJID, I can't really see that one. Hold on a second. 8SNN019. An impossible light moves across that license plate. The demons are at a tremendous distance away from here for that to be headlights while they're driving on Euclid Avenue, stalking in the path, and the entity is also stalking in the path via aircraft. I am walking in the direction south, so the demons are stalking in the path via aircraft, walking in the direction what would be south as well, tracking my steps, okay? The demons that I just licensed, that license plate that 8SNN, molesting with impossible light. Those are sex offenders, okay? That are, you already know that because the pattern of conduct is that of sex offenders, but they're molesting right now. They're engaging in sexual violence, touching on me while they're obsessively stalking as homosexual women, as polyamorous, I suppose, when you're a couple of demons stalking me together. The demons that are predators of the male gender, stalking, lurking in the dark, wanting to touch all over my body with light. And this is what's shared by the government, by the way. It's not only sexually perverted, it's deviant, it's demented, and it's demonic. It's pursuant to monitoring, which is demonic. And it's criminal surveillance. They are stalking as a population, engaging in that pattern of conduct. And it's happening at 7-Eleven, 729 North Euclid Avenue. It's those license plates, all of them sharing in sexual violence, and so is 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven is going to be prosecuted as a sex offender, treated as a person under the law. The persons in California, every business is engaged in gang stalking. They're going to be treated like sex offenders, and what they are, terrorists, and where did we go? And those companies engaging in psychological torture, okay? License 5XHE153. This is a sex offender that's at the stoplight, not because it's the traffic, but because they're waiting to touch. That's a sex offender, driving a Scion. License 6XZF830. It's the same purpose. And you have greater context when during the day the fake sun is over me at the intersection. They are there to engage in molestation. It's not traffic. It's not coincidental meeting at an intersection. These are demons that are tracking my steps, okay? Everywhere that I go, 9RNP789, as clearly as you saw the entity stalking me by helicopter for 20 minutes, flying in circles over me, that's what they're all doing with that same level of obsession, that same level of dual, it's hostility and obsession and sexual obsession. And that is the spirit of Satan. okay, that is doing so, by the way, conspiring your murder while stalking you obsessively, conspiring your ultimate demise. And this is something that my gang stalking mother, Tracy Banks, is fully engaged in and solicited. She solicited the government to gang stalk me while she has a secret conservatorship, trying to falsely depict me behind my back secretly as some sort of mental case while she steals my property, 7JDL 488. And because of this psychopathic and corrupt government together, Tracy Banks isn't just a psychopath and a pedophile by herself. The government is also corrupt. Tracy Banks couldn't do it without incompetent and corrupt delinquents like Jason Isaac Fields and the demons of the Ontario Police. Tracy Banks has a place for her criminal conduct and for her lust for my demise because of the corruption of the government. Okay? So this is the entity that is acting as one, and they're all demons. So just want you to be clear. She's just a demon that lives at amongst the elderly at Woodside. The other demons, they put on Ontario Police Department uniforms. That's it. It's physical. They are putting on uniforms, and Satan is identifying itself as a police department. Satan is not a police officer. Satan is not a fire chief, a police chief. Satan is not a deputy. These are not police officers. This is not law enforcement, and they're going to experience that strip down. Okay? You're witnessing it now. You're witnessing a defiant spirit. You're witnessing foolishness. What you saw on video for over 20 minutes, and nobody, first of all, in their sane mind would do that. No government wants to be even accused of it. No government wants to even appear as though it could be true. And this is not happening in a corner where nobody sees it. No one in their sane mind, no government body in its sane mind that has any sort of sane mind would engage in what the Ontario Police Department has been doing for a prolonged period, for years, let alone today. 20 minutes. Repeated, ongoing capture video after video, multiple videos of stalking. And then I am showing you what Kern County, Bakersfield are doing. And when I'm in San Diego, and then I drove to Kern County today in 2024. But I'm walking outside of the same venue that I walked into this morning, and I'm being terrorized in doing so. The sex offenders of a corrupt police department that are stalking me do so with a helicopter because they're mad that I'm documenting them. That's a psychopath. I am so angry at you that you won't let me just murder you in secret. Why don't you stop documenting that I'm trying to murder you? That's what is stalking in a helicopter, exceedingly hostile. And then I'm showing you in that environment, comparing it to a natural environment. The fake sun is over the same entrance that it was at 10:17 on video, over the entrance. As I walk out at 1:25 p.m., it's still over that entrance, but yet on this day in 2024, it's over me on the 5 freeway in Oceanside. Camp Pendleton. That's not the first time the Marine Corps has been engaged in gang stalking me, by the way. Not the first time. And I'm in San Diego, and I travel to Kern County. And guess who's stalking in a helicopter? Stalking is identified in that environment because but for the specific environment, but for your knowledge of a whole fake stage that surrounds us, you're actually ignorant about someone else being targeted. You're ignorant about being targeted yourself with regard to how you can prove it, because a targeted individual is very much suffering and experiencing psychological torture. They're suffering and they're experiencing spiritual warfare. They're being attacked in their mind, and they're also being attacked while they're being stalked by people that they don't know, but those people know that person. And those people are spiritually attacking that person. Those people are sexually violating that person. And those people have already planned out how that person is going to die and what they're going to do all about. They've already planned that out while they're gang stalking Kern County, while the fake sun is outside of the driver's side of my window, and I'm in Bakersfield, California. This is after 6 o'clock. Where was the fake sun today on the same day? After 6 o'clock, I walked outside about 6:05, 6:06. The fake sun was at the same entrance where it was, by the way. It was in the same place when you're getting an idea of what is this illusion? Like the fake sun went somewhere? No, it was in that position this morning at 6:59 a.m. I took a screenshot for you so you can look at what is an illusion. These are demons, and they engage in magic tricks. It's wicked. It's demonic. This is the practice of witchcraft. The fake sun is in the exact same position that it was at 6:59 a.m. When I walked out this evening after 6 p.m. out of the same entrance where that fake sun was over the top of my head at 10:17 a.m. And on this day in 2024, I'm in Kern County after leaving San Diego, Oceanside. And the fake sun's remaining over the top of my head while I'm in a vehicle. I didn't even stay in one building. I went from city to city to city. And all those cities are far away from Ontario, San Bernardino County. I was in my vehicle on the roads and the highways. And yet the fake sun remained stationary over one strip of land, not even a quarter of a mile, literally. One on the, what would be the east and west side of C Street at Euclid Avenue. The fake sun is in the exact same position it was at 6:59 a.m. Those demons that 6:59 a.m. Those demons that I documented this morning are going to federal prison. The demon that's stalking in helicopter, I guarantee you that that demon's going to be identified. They're going to a mental asylum. The federal law is as such. When you are exhibiting mental illness on its face, because you are already your mental health is already at the forefront of your prosecution. It's already in controversy, in other words, because it is problematic with regard to your behavioral health and the danger that you pose to yourself and the public when you're engaged in gang stalking. So your mental health is this is how it's going to be prosecuted, period. And your mental health is already in controversy when you are on its face exhibiting severe mental instabilities such as stalking an American citizen using a helicopter and doing so by engaging in pacing over them incessantly for over 20 minutes like I documented. And it's all the other evidence that's speaking to mental instability, the fake sun, the engineer light, the light that's flinging all over the place, while the other psychopaths are pacing around that person as well. And engineer light's just flinging all over this circus-like environment, this chaotic environment, this wicked environment where people are torturing and stalking someone. Stalking someone, by the way, that's documenting it. They're not just doing it to somebody that doesn't know what's going on. That's sitting there crying and breaking down like, what is going on? Oh no, they're doing it to somebody that's legally analyzing it as they do it. And then I immediately put it on the internet. And you will understand how that is key in the future. You'll understand that. Because these demons don't. But you don't even have to be a rocket scientist. You don't even have to be remotely close to intelligent. Like the demons that are gang stalking me are not. Because no government body wants to be seen doing what the city of Ontario has been doing and did again today. Nobody. Because the purpose of it is supposed to be, it's totally made up. This person is totally out of their mind. This person is they're seeing things, okay? And none of it's reality. You don't have that here. The entities engaging in conduct, there is, like I said before, they didn't even need to fly over me for 20 minutes in a circle under what everybody knows is the fake sun that's remaining over me on one street in one city. They didn't even need to do that. I already have it. If I were to stand in the middle of the street and have some sort of breakdown regarding I can't take it anymore, first of all, that's a human reaction and it's not mental illness. This is what people need to understand. My ability to confront the system is letting you know that people are being defamed because they're subject to what is inhumane treatment. And then the demons, the psychopaths, the sex offenders, they sit back and watch. And then they judge that and depict that target individual, that human being, as being mentally ill, being crazy the whole time. It's not because they're targeting them. It's not because they're torturing them. It's not because they're harassing them. It's not because they're violating them in all manner of ways, unspeakable ways. It's not because they are damaging their reputation. It's not because they are isolating them, ostracizing them, falsely accusing them. It's not because of any of that. It's because they're crazy. All right, I just need you to understand what the Ontario Police Department did today. It's what the state of California did today. And while the Ontario Department did that on video, it's sitting on the record. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. While they did that on camera, understand that the entity is in San Diego, California, on video with a fake sun outside of my hotel window at 9:33 in the morning. And the entity is stalking with a fake sun over Ontario Town Square, and a psychopath that is very much lacking in foresight, that is aiding in the prosecution of hundreds of people, of a whole city, of counties, the whole state, in other words. Very specific people. I mean, detail. There are people that are going to federal prison. I highlighted and underscored their names. You're going to federal prison and you know who you are. And if you don't, it's because you're delusional. But I've already encountered you and what you committed, nothing less than federal prison. And the Ontario Police Department are sealing that up. Not that I need these demons. I don't even need your help. But all that serves that purpose. You're going to federal prison. This is an entity that did that while in San Diego, California, that's necessarily more than one son, because what's over me at the Ontario Town Square and what remained over me at that same address where the OVITT Family Community Library, where the mayor, Paul Leon, where the police department in helicopter and in vehicles, where the fire department in that same plaza, they're keeping a fake son over 215 EC Street, over the entrance of that 215 EC Street venue. So what is outside of my window in San Diego at the Fairfield Inn and Suites? Because it's not the same object. That's impossible. And this is the ongoing consistent analysis, while delusional demons whose witchcraft has expired, they're engaging in what is having actually a mental breakdown. That was a mental breakdown, and that was an act of desperation and fear. It doesn't serve their purposes, though. And it certainly doesn't stop what I'm doing. In fact, it accelerates it. It intensifies it. You saw all those videos on X today. And you're mindful of every gang stalker that I documented under the fake son wearing Ontario Police Department uniforms? Because every single last one of them are going to federal prison. Every single last one of them. All right? The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct to its own demise. The entity is doing so while the rest of the state of California are sitting back wondering, because this is what any co-defendant would be wondering, how are you going to handle this? Because it's not going to be taking Erica Spencer out. So what's your plan, Ontario? Oh, to be caught stalking in helicopter for 20 minutes, because that makes it seem like she's imagining things. That makes it seem like she's on drugs. That makes it seem like she's just hallucinating. Right? That's nothing even remotely close to what the allegations are. And that has nothing to do with what I've been documenting for years. And that's totally dissimilar from what I'm capturing the LAPD doing for 46 minutes outside of my living room window under the fake sunset. Nothing similar whatsoever. That's not helping the case, right? The Ontario Police Department, that is the state of California, they have it in the bag, as you could say in the vernacular, right? They have it totally under control. That's what it looks like. Both on the surface and in substance, it looks like they're in total control. These are demons that are, again, under no circumstances are prepared for what is going to be a prosecution. And it's already a prosecution that's in motion. When it's in court, and it's going to be, it's not going to be a matter of, is the evidence sufficient to prove, because the criminal is the government, because the terrorist, because the crime is unprecedented, because it's going to change the trajectory of this country. It's going to change history. It's going to change everything. This is not going to, and I knew that at the outset, it's not going to be a matter of when we're in court and the trier is asking questions because there's, lack of clarity, and you have to do your, you get your day in court, and that includes the government. You get your day in court, but there's no question here. It's already been prosecuted. It's already been proven. It's going to be a formality in federal court. It's going to be a question with regard to damages. It's going to be a question with regard to sentencing. It's going to be a question with regard to laws that need to be implemented based on what it is that I've already laid out, that I've already suggested, that I advocate. Because the current laws, they are there. I pointed that out. But they're the laws that they need to go farther. They need to go further. They don't go far enough. That's what's going to happen in court. All right, the entity that engaged in that today, the entity that is still stalking everywhere that I'm going, the entity that is exhibiting mental illness, you're not retaliating. You don't have a say and a vote. You're not going to bully the person that is prosecuting you. This is an entity that, again, this is for a long time, and I get it. For a long time, they've been corrupt. For a long time, they've been doing what they want to do. Satan has been, again, this ego, it's demonic, but it's also delusional. You were never what you thought you were in the first place. You were never powerful and elite and sophisticated. You were never God-like at all, which is blasphemy. Never. And you also are only in a position that God permits you to be in. And he will permit that for so long, and that goes for anybody, including me. This is an entity that's being humbled by Christ himself. And it's not about whether they like it. It's not about what they're going to do about it. They can't do anything about it because it's already done. It is already done. You're witnessing the formal process of it. All right, the demon that's stalking, molested with light, is sex offender's license plate. Driving a white van. License 61565A4. Gang stalking, that's a demon. Their headlights are not what's molesting me, creating ongoing vibrant light across the street. That's a demon, and it looks like a gang stalking immigrant potentially. That's deportation. And these are the policies that are going to be discussed in federal court. These are the details that you're going to go over. And how you deal with the whole city of criminals. Right? a whole government body of criminals, because that's never been at this level. Criminal surveillance has never been proven before. And the Ontario Police Department are punctuating the fact that they are engaged in criminal surveillance. And not only that, they are hostile to the notion of not being a criminal. They are hostile to that. Are you kidding me? They're being disbanded. They're already fired. They are literally operating in what is a role that they do not actually have. They're witnessing it. They're experiencing it in real time. You witnessed a breakdown, a mental breakdown of a demon, a psychopath. And what were they having a breakdown over? Pay attention to what I published on the internet last night and today. Take a good look at it. All right? This is the entity that you're not going to threaten American citizens. It's a new day. It literally is a new day because what the government is engaging in and how this is going to change the law in this country. So you will not threaten an American citizen that you're keeping under surveillance. You will not be able to do it secretly anymore. And you're not going to stop the federal government from prosecuting you. You're delusional, Satan. You're going into a padded room. You're going into a padded room. You're not going to do that, though. But you're witnessing the entity that's exhibiting severe mental illness, delusion. It doesn't matter who I am and what my position is or what you think about me. And by the way, I could not care less. You're monitoring my vagina. You're a sex offender. You think I don't care about your opinion. I do not care. You sit around monitoring genitalia. Genitalia that is not surveying you. Genitalia that's not interested in you. I know that much. It's certainly not mutual. It's not reciprocated. All right, your obsession is one-sided. All right, stalking license 7BSV945 and license plate. License plate 8WAB879. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and it's going to be what is tremendous with regard to the implications nationwide. And unfortunately, it's going to be issues that the rest of the world is going to witness as well. But the way that it is handled this country is able to redeem itself by the way that it handles it. Okay, so like I said, we are absolutely vulnerable when our government is terrorizing its own citizens. That is unfortunate. As a wholehearted advocate of the Constitution, of the notion of it, perhaps I'm a little bit of an idealist, but I agree with, and I'm not going to say it's as strong as a belief. I believe in Christ Jesus and in the Word of God. But the structure, the ideals behind the Constitution, it's excellent with regard to the way that it is designed to operate. All right? But this is not what the government is doing. It's not what the government has been doing. But that doesn't mean that that's not what the government's going to be held to with regard to a standard. Okay? You can treat the Constitution like it's toilet paper that you're wiping up fecal matter with. But I'm going to wipe that fecal matter all over your face, and I'm going to enforce it against you. You're watching it happen, and it's going to happen in court. You will not engage in threatening an American citizen that you are keeping under surveillance. And it is absurdly criminal and hypocritical for the government to be the offender engaging in this conduct. And not only that, they're not even smart. They're not even witty. They, for 20 minutes, gave direct evidence of targeting me. What do you think? What are you doing? This is how imprudent the defendant is, okay? So that's all I'm going to state. The defendant was never equipped. The defendant was never anticipating a prosecution. The defendant was deceived into thinking that they were going to gain a sacrifice, and that was a trap. Okay, literally, I am the bait, and the entity is engaging what is targeting me, and I am the one that's here to prosecute, to expose, and to articulate how you deal with the enemy that you didn't even know was there. Okay, it's currently 9:19 p.m., and this is the pattern of conduct. I'm walking south on Euclid Avenue, just like I did a couple weeks ago. I believe actually that was... Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago that I walked. I took the bus last Friday when you saw the fake sunset. Chino Police, Upland Police, San Bernardino County Sheriff, and the Ontario Police gang stalking at the intersection of Hope Boulevard and Euclid Avenue, which is the same street where that fake sun is rising. As a matter of documentation for years, by the way. which is just relevant context regarding a surveillance system that I've been subject to for years. And it is highlighted by the environment that surrounds me where surveillance is underway. That's the significance of what is a fake sun. And it is informative to you wherever you are at in this country, because while a fake sun is over me, it cannot be the natural environment over you. This is basic arithmetic. A fifth grader can understand it. Unfortunately, the Ontario Police Department are not so witty, okay? And they think that it's wise in that environment, in that obvious circumstance, to engage in conduct that fits the very allegations against the government, for which there are very severe federal prosecutions, repercussions for that. But these are demons that got up and said, nothing's going to happen. You're not going to do anything. Nothing is going to come of this. You're still going to be a sacrifice. These are witches, and these are demons that worship Satan and have sex with kids and summon demons. Those demons lie to them. Those demons lie to them and get them. If you've ever heard this song, punks jump up to get beat down. That's what the Ontario police represent. They get very excited. They get amped up. Okay? They get really enthusiastic for what is a lost endeavor at the outset. They walked out of their door a loser. They walked out of their door a loser, and I published that on the internet, and it is already a secure prosecution. They lost before day one of a court case. It is currently 9:21 p.m. This is P.O.C. Sex offender going out of their way to touch on me. License GUITAAS. In case you did not know that that's a rapist, that's a sex offender. He is license 9SCM182, and he's group stalking me. And further, it's conspiring my murder, that is. Okay, POC, it's 9:30 p.m. when that demon is engaging in a sex offense on the roads and the highways. Because that's how easy and convenient it is for California to engage in targeting American citizens. The government, the corrupt government, has made it that convenient for them. Sex offenders on the loose. Okay, POC. (41423W3), 10:29 p.m. at Center House, the property across the street from Economy Inn. License ZP36346. This is a large truck, a commercial vehicle. License 7ZLC314. License 980V84. That's Nevada. License 8JUA585. 9GZV374. 21984. That's an Illinois plate. (7PSR080) 74071DA 8ZF W627 9MVP955 8PLA613 4RQZ108 BZ791, that's a handicap plate. 7VQW371 8XXE398 9RGY935 8J0S004 9TSL441 04539KS